want to come to Sunnyside Dental have Medicare plans that we don't accept. Hold up. That has got to change. Sunnyside Dental is now accepting most Medicare dental plans. WellCare, Liberty, United Healthcare, Cigna, Kelsey Care Advantage, Amerigroup, Aetna, and many more. We're getting on board. Call Sunnyside Dental at 713-738-1999. If you have Medicare and would like to receive the personal touch provided by Sunnyside Dental, call us at 713-738-1999. We look forward to helping you achieve the smile that you can't wait to share with the world.
Got Medicare dental benefits? Call Sunnyside Dental 713-738-1999.
In life's most difficult moments, comfort matters. At Lord Edward Memorial, we believe every life is a blessing worth honoring with dignity and care. With a combined 60 years of experience, our compassionate staff walks beside your family with faith, respect, and understanding. Lord Edward Memorial, serving families with grace, compassion, and heartfelt care. Visit us at 6677 Rookin Street, Houston 77074, or give us a phone call at 346-446-6675.
Force Industries Irrigation is now Aquamatic Irrigation, and Michael Von Williams is still your point of contact. Michael has over 27 years experience in the irrigation industry and is licensed and insured, but he now has additional support. So if you have a lawn sprinkler system that is no longer operating properly, or you're tired of lugging water hoses around, call Aquamatic Irrigation at 346-476-9065. If you don't have a lawn sprinkler system, give Aquamatic Irrigation a call to have your automatic lawn sprinkler system installed. Enjoy your lawn and improve your property value. In order to keep your lawn and landscaping in excellent condition, Aquamatic Irrigation also offers routine maintenance programs to check the system for leaks, proper controller settings, and sprinkler head alignment. Call Aquamatic Irrigation, your sprinkler company, 346-476-9065. Or visit our website at www.aquamaticirrigation.net.
In life's most difficult moments, comfort matters. At Lord Edward Memorial, we believe...
Hey, good morning to you. Good morning to you. It's the Morning Magazine. I am Paris. I'm right in here rocking it for you this morning. We've got a great start for you this morning. Remember, the happiness is in your control. It's an inside job. All the good stuff is on the inside. We thank you for being with us this morning. I want to say good morning to Sandra Smith and Sheila. Good morning to you, Sheila. We trust you're recovering well. Shirley Brass, how are you? Sarah Moses, good morning to you, love. And good morning to you, Miss Deborah Bates and Pretty Black and all of you out there. We just do thank you so much for being here. Joan Edwards, how are you? Annie Wright, Miss Annie Wright, you and your wonderful children, and you, all of you guys and your families. Paul Wright, how are you, sir? Ralph Cooper and his gang. Say good morning to James Montgomery, Mr. Baseball. They named the sport after this man, Mr. Baseball. He plays it so well. Yes, indeed. Good morning, everybody. And say hello to Nate, the head of state, Griffin. Good morning, sir. All right, we're ready to rock this morning. Got a busy man in here this morning, so that means I got a busy mind, and a busy mind has to be engaged. So he's just here with me temporarily, but he's going to be here with us for quite a while. We're looking forward to it. I got Steven Zarosco with me this morning. Yes, indeed. Founder, co-founder, originator, creator of Politics and Friends Talking. Friends Talking Politics. It's simple. Let's keep it simple.
It's a working title because somebody asked what we're doing. So, we're talking politics with friends, and it's
good. It's the truth about what the show is.
Yeah.
We're excited over here about this show. Because of the content it brings. It's the generational perspectives on today's contemporary problems and challenges, and it's quite engaging. I'm going to give you a preview of it this morning, but I want Stevens to tell you himself what this is about, and we're going to play some of it for you. You'll be hearing more of it during the daytime, so you daytime listeners can get an idea of what it's like when we're doing something other than just jumping at each other's throats. Good morning, dude.
Well, good morning. Yes. So, politics and friends, talking politics with friends is really just me reaching out to a lot of the people that I've known over the years, especially over the course of the last, 12 years that I've done some organizing early on as a student and, as far as an activist, being in a lot of these spaces that required us to be paying attention to what's going on at the local side. And that was the emphasis because, there's plenty of conversation going on regarding national politics. Everybody can talk about Trump. Everybody can talk about those dynamics. But the local work that is needed and the attention that is needed is even more urgent and important today. And so a lot of these people that I know that are doing their side of their work, right, whether they're scholars or they're nonprofit workers or they're organizers still or they're business owners, and they're plugged in their area and they have their way of interpreting what's going on, but also, their connection to the community is the biggest and the most important part, that they're connected to the community, doing some type of work that we can highlight as well. So I have my two good friends, Dr. Bico Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Trevino Rodriguez, who have joined me in this endeavor. So they're going to be rotating in and out. Some episodes are going to be all three of us. Other episodes, there might be just two of us. But we're also going to have a guest. So this week on tomorrow, we'll be having Dawn Jones, who is with, I believe, the Courier of Texas, and she does amazing work. She's been in politics for a long time now, and she's still very much young, but she's been committed since early on as a student doing this work. And so we're just gonna kind of ask her questions and see what her pulse of the city right now is in local politics, and just kind of see if we can start really having a more clear image of what Houston really is feeling like when it comes to the politics. So we're just excited to have another episode Wednesdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the most exciting part for me is that second hour, the 8 o'clock hour, where we have phone calls and we'll have folks join us in the chat, ask questions, or just share their thoughts. So it's just really community radio energy that we're feeding off of.
And they'll be able to call you at 713-668-1230 when you open up the show, that part of the show. But we want people to get an idea. It's like talking about a show like yours is like writing about dancing. You don't get the full impact of it unless you hear it. So I want people to hear it and expect to hear more of it, but I want them to know what they're going to hear tomorrow night, and that's just why we are out front talking about it now. Those of you who may have missed it, you missed a very special show. And the good thing about it is it was not a one-off. This is what these younger people do, and they are engaged. That was, I think, where your emphasis was a few moments ago when you talked about these are younger people out there who are not just pontificating. They are not just older people looking back at what should have been done or trying to redress grievances from afar. They are actually engaged and not in a snooty manner like I'm doing this, you aren't. It's actually, it is really engaging, and we want you to get a feel for some of it, what it sounds like.
For this clip that you're gonna play for everybody, this is at the start of the episode, and we are, because last week Wednesday was the day after the runoffs wrapped up, so we are starting out talking about the dynamics between the Al Green runoff against Christian Menifee, and just what those dynamics look like coming out of that race. And then, just for everybody to know, we have a YouTube page at 1230 The Source. So if you want to watch some of these episodes back, then you can always find the episode and click it and watch and listen to the whole thing.
Simply due to their health. And they weren't willing to take a gamble for that to happen again.
Right.
It's honestly, in my opinion, not more critique of Al Green than of just a very specific moment in time where almost pigeon superstition made it so that his obvious history of power and strategic maneuvering in Congress wasn't enough. We needed to make sure somebody could sit in that seat for a long term. And it would be knock on anything that's made of wood here, insane if something happened to Christian Menifee today.
Right. Because then people will say that the seat is cursed. So.
Yeah, at that point, it was never going to be Al Green. It was
Leave it
going to be
alone.
whoever gets the seat.
Leave it alone, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Biko? Because there's a lot to say about the dynamics of the race, but most of all, they made it of age versus experience versus inexperience.
Well, I think Maria hit on a lot of really good points. I think the other piece that I would add here is the national dimension of this, right? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, this map gets redrawn in large part because Donald Trump knows that he's losing in the midterms, right? So he needs to find seats somewhere. And one of the easiest ways to do this, we're also seeing this in Tennessee, we're seeing this in other places, one of the easiest ways to do this is to redraw the map in a way to where you have black candidates more or less, Democratic progressive candidates more or less diluting their power base and fighting against each other in the process. And I think ultimately I genuinely think ultimately that's what we ended up seeing here, right? That's the conditions that make it possible for an Al Green to run, end up running against a Christian Menifee. I also agree with you, Maria, that this has a lot. I think voters are scared given this particular seat. Mm-hmm. It was very real. I just really want to reaffirm that. These are two major losses for Houston politics specifically, the Honorable Sheila Jackson Lee and then Sylvester Turner, who emissions, right? Mm-hmm. You put that in the parliamentary people who push people out of the, he's standing up and he's disrupting speeches. He's calling stuff out in real time. And I think in a very real way, people were starting to be drawn. And I think Green understands that this is not the time for civility, right? Right. So the question that I have now, and I'm still working. Christian Menifee definitely has a progressive, a more leftist leaning progressive on it, all those things. Mm-hmm. But is he going to play the civility game, or is he going to have this more direct? Mm-hmm. Do you see what I mean? That's my question for him once he.
Yeah, because congratulations, Christian Menifee. You're going to November, and you're going to most likely be the congressman that represents District 18. But now you have earned yourself the scrutiny of everybody who's looking for that youth to represent progressive policy, not just talking points, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the thing is all right, they were hitting him with the, hey, you got this crypto funding that's, giving you over $1 million for your campaign. So are you going to be a tech bro, ally, or are you going to push back against data centers and all these other things? Because crypto, data centers, AI, these are all the same group of people. Mm-hmm. And so we need to really have those conversations. And then of course, social justice wise, you have to have a conversation about how are you going to be speaking up during this absolutely white supremacist administration, striking down all sorts of black history in all the museums and public spaces and just slowly diluting away all the history that brought us to this point. Are you gonna be as outspoken as Al Green, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's the one thing I appreciate about Al Green is that he was there disrupting, waving the cane, and just saying all the things that need to be said regarding social justice. He was actually here on Sunday morning on Memorial Day on Monday talking with Paris, and I saw he had the Free Gaza, Palestinian liberation, and we need that to continue to be part of the conversation from our representative in this district. So
exactly, I feel like Christian has all of the right policy proposals on his website.
Right.
He says all the right things. He's a very charismatic, inspiring, motivational public speaker. He's on the right side of issues often, and often on the furthest left side of it. I think he just has very big shoes to fill with regards to how he communicates when in office. I think we're expecting someone who's willing to bring the protest into the White House, just like Al Green did and how Sheila Jackson did. And I think that's his role. I really hope he doesn't let us down when we expect that same.
I really appreciate you for saying that. I think, and not let us down as a representative in the sense, and this is crucial, that people need to know that Houston does have a progressive base of people. Do you know what I mean? That it's not, that it's, we may not be a lot of people, but we are small but mighty, right? And I think, and it might actually be more of us now. And I think in a very real way, letting folks know Texas is not a foregone conclusion by way of particular kinds of progressive politics.
Right.
So, I love that you brought up that Al Green is having the wristband for Gaza too, right? And I expect that Christian Menifee will do something very similar, particularly as it relates not simply to Gaza, but also to this war too. You have a president who has overreached in terms of war powers resolutions.
Right.
So how do you gum up the works? How do you say no? People in Texas and people in Houston in particular are not for this because our gas prices are going up. All these sort of basic things. So yeah.
And I just want to say this before I continue, because there are people watching on YouTube, there are people listening, and this is still a radio station, so we do have a phone number for you to call in. Because when we get in that 8 o'clock hour, if I see the phone line light up, you're going to go on air, you're going to say what you want to say, and we'll respond and all that. So the number is 713-668-1230.
This is a pre-recorded program. You're listening to a past recorded program. This is a transcription and audio rebroadcast for Talking Politics with Friends. This is Stephen Orozco and his co-hosts and an occasional guest. This is a preview of what you will be hearing tomorrow night, the tenor and sway of the conversation. This is what you'll be hearing tomorrow night. We realize some of you could not get it last week. We entertained some phone calls from you, those of you who wanted to know why were you not advised that it was coming on before? And we want you to hear what it is about. We want you to, so if you missed it, you can always go back online and get it. Remember this now. We are now broadcasting online, YouTube. You can go to the source, YouTube, and you'll see it listed there as Talking Politics with Friends, hosted by Stephen Orozco. But for those of you who did not get it, I want you to get the flavor of this conversation. There will be a new one tomorrow, but this is in the aftermath of the voting of the win by Christian Menifee last week. And we wanted you, those of you who have not heard the show, to get a feel for the level of conversation that is going on. I am Paris. Good morning to you. It's 18 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. Let's resume some of this conversation.
Houston is that progressive center of Texas, and it demonstrates that. And the history that I want to touch on was the fact that we had 10 years ago, in 2016, we had a hand in some of the work that happened. Basically, during the Hillary Clinton versus Trump campaign, everybody was paying attention to that, but the turnout was so low nationwide, it was actually like a historic low. But then you had Harris County break records in voting turnout, and then it swept up, cleaned house for all the Democrats, right? And then 2 years later, you get Alina Hidalgo, and then you get all the black women judges that won during that blue wave that just hit. That's how you have Beto O'Rourke just all of a sudden trying to investigate how this happened, and maybe we could use this momentum to turn Texas blue. And so Houston has demonstrated that. And so now it's like we're looking ahead in November as potentially reinstating that, because since that blue wave, Greg Abbott's been doing everything he could to basically just stop all the voting progress that's been happening in Houston, slowly stripping all the voting centers and the voting hours and all these things. So what are your thoughts about just the fact that Houston still remains the example for the rest of Texas of how this can be done?
I think it's a crucial. I do think about 10 years ago. I always get goosebumps when we talk about the old days, right? Because I was laughing, but I'm also it was crazy. The country is. Many folks, who were center left and even more to the left were mourning, and we were rejoicing in a very real way because we had gotten two people out of office that were doing terrible things to black folks, to Latino and Latina community. It was one of those things where we were sitting there in many ways we ended up with. And I think that spoke to, quite frankly, what a group of people, and we weren't big. I have to say, it was not like it was 30 million of us, or it was a group of folks who became friends over time and just really stayed committed to the work and really helped to galvanize that. So I think we do have that precedent for us now. I think the question moving forward, and this is something this is a genuine question for both of you, is, are people exhausted at this point? I know that there is a progressive movement here in Houston, but are people on the ground just, Trump has beaten us over the head so much, right? Mm-hmm. Greg Abbott is continually messing with Harris County and Houston in particular. Do you think we have enough energy to withstand quite frankly, the targeted political attacks? Do you see what I'm at? Do you see what I'm at? Like, yeah, go ahead.
I think so.
Okay.
I think somehow Houstonians are like diamonds. Under the more pressure we're in, the better we do. To be honest, I feel like when we had that rise in political power, that was because we felt like we can't do anything nationally, but what we can do is bring change home. Yeah. That's why we were able to oust the district attorney and the sheriff, who were honestly our local Trumps.
Mm-hmm. They were
our figureheads, right? They were the people who were enforcing the laws at the local level. And we found that would be our solution to a national crisis. I think we have almost a very similar, if not stronger, ability to do that this time around because there's a base of people who are doing it every day.
All right. We wanted you to hear these voices. You get a feel so that you can get a feel for the flow and the tenor of the conversation there. You just heard from Dr. Biko Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Trerio Rodriguez. I can't trill. I can't roll my R's like Stevens can. But Stevens Oresco is the host, everybody, and he does a great job. And that program is going to be here for you on Wednesday nights, and it's from 7 to 9, and it's right here on KCOH. And then at 8 during the 8 o'clock hour, they open the phones, so you will be able to call in. Listen to the conversation first, and then they open the lines and you call in. All right, I wanted you to hear some of that, but the show is Talking Politics with Friends, and it's hosted by Stevens Orozco, and you'll be able to hear it tomorrow night. And going forward, you will on occasion be able to hear the replays of these broadcasts. Now, you can also do this, and you may find it more efficient for you. You can go to 1230 The Source, go to 1230 The Source on YouTube, and you can play back these programs now. So we are in a position, we often get requests for programs. Can you play it back? Well, now we've gotten the vehicle that we think is appropriate and suitable for us to play it, on which to play it back. So we certainly do welcome you to go online, and you're going to just type in The Source, YouTube. That's what you're going to do. 1230 The Source, YouTube. And you will find us there. You'll also find Ralph Cooper there, the sports legend. You'll find all of that going on. Hey, lots of things to get with this morning. I know that the phone call was given out just a few minutes ago. The phone number was given out a few minutes ago. We did not play this for you to call in right now. However, I know that I've got a caller on, and maybe you want to comment on what you just heard here. So, good morning. How are you, Mark?
Oh, well, good morning, Paris. How you doing? You doing all right this morning?
Yes, I am, my brother. I'm blessed, man. What's Gucci? Yeah. I'm Gucci.
Yeah, I hear you talking. I said we can find Ralph Cooper on his Source. Also, I just want everybody also, you can also find Mark sometime on the show too, y'all. So just look out for me too.
Look out for Mark. That's right. Yeah, you can call Mark. You can find Mark.
Calling in.
Yeah.
There you go. And I want to ask this question.
Yes, sir.
You say that they're going to be in the studio?
Yes, sir.
And what day were they going to be in the studio?
Yes, they are. Oh, Wednesday nights from 7 to 9.
Okay, so Wednesday night from 7 to 9, and we'll listen, and they will accept some calls.
Yes,
okay,
yes. During the 8 o'clock, the call hour, the designated call hour is 8 o'clock.
Okay, and you know what? I appreciate that, what they're
sir.
doing, but I'm telling you now, they're going to be in a hot seat because I understand the election is over. He won. Now we want to speak to the people, but the people got to really want to understand. We wanted to try to get the knowledge of it prior before it, but that's fine. It's okay. Mm-hmm. But we go by records, man, and what you do. So at the end of the day, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire. Menifee. It's a lot of things that we didn't like what you were doing when you was county judge and all this old nonsense, but it's all right though. The Democrats will get together and stick behind you because that's what we do.
Yeah, I
But,
think mainly
y'all coming in.
Yeah, I think mainly what you'll hear, you'll be able to hear it and judge for yourself. They're talking about progressive politics. They're talking about reform, changes, what we need to do going forward, the politics and policy of a new generation. What should these policies look like? How can they accommodate more people? I think that is not. I see that way from what I've observed and from what I hear. That is their direction.
Okay.
They talk about solutions. They talk about solutions. Later on in this clip, I will play what they said about the idea of mutual aid, and they have a practical approach to it. They have an agenda for these politicians themselves, and so and even after the
Right.
politician has been elected, I think you'll hear some of that in
Okay.
here. Yeah.
Okay, good. And I'm hoping that we do hear those things, and I want him to understand that we got a lot of politics that are going across the country right now. And as far as what we saw what happened to a young man, I think that was in South Carolina, 14-year-old boy was shot and killed by an Asian store owner and son. He was running from him. He went into a store, people, and he didn't take anything. He didn't steal anything, and he made him put his backpack in a secure, safe spot. So while he go and shop, so they profiled him and looked at him. So he put all his waters back and went and got out of the store and left. Didn't take anything, didn't steal anything, Paris. But they assumed that he did, and they chased him about 130 yards and shot him and killed him. So what I'm trying to say to Menifee, and I want y'all to hear me clearly, I think that Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green, those people was in our communities, no matter what city, town, and state they were in. They were for all the people. When it was injustice for us, people that looked like us, they fought for us. They talked about it. We want to hear some things, man, because if something like that would happen in our District 18, one of our young brothers or fathers, a parent gets accused or something like that. We want to make sure that you all stand behind us when they wrong, because we noticed when ISIS was running around the country killing people, they killed a couple of white people. We saw the mayor, police chief, the governor, they all came out and saw the videos, and they spoke about it. And they disowned it. They said that what ISIS did was wrong. We're going to be looking for leadership like that when we see that stuff happening in our communities. So we want to get justice. You know what I'm saying, Paris? So at the end of the day, it was an outrage because the jury found the Asian man not guilty, y'all, and he shot him in the back. He killed the boy. The boy didn't take anything. I don't know what that jury saw or whatever, but I think it was just an outrage. And people, we should be we should be on outrage on this stuff that's going on. So that's why we need people in Congress and stuff like House and Senate and stuff like that to try to fight for our rights. You know what I'm saying, Ferris?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Mark. I'm going to speak in measured words here, but it's still off the cuff, because I won't be surprised if I get pushed back. I get pushed back on this, because there's going to be room for people who think hastily and don't hear what I'm about to say to confuse things and put a different spin on it. However, I think it's something that I should say anyway, because we were talking about this is risky, but I'm going to do this. This is what I was talking about. Young people being asked to, young athletes being asked to consider changing schools. I don't know what the full plan is, so I'm not speaking out against the full plan. I do know what I don't know, and what I don't know is the details of the plan. So I'm open. I'm open to that part of it. But when asked about it yesterday, I said, one of the things that concerns me about asking a small group of people to do something that they ordinarily is not their wheelhouse in terms of operation and execution, you're putting a lot of pressure on people to do something, and they may feel an obligation to do it. Some will, some won't, but they may come to resent the pressure. And so I hope that what I said yesterday was whatever kind of plan this is, I hope it takes into account that more than one group of people, that is the athletes, have an obligation here. Now, people will say, well, sure, of course, we all understand that. We all understand it. Well, I'm not so sure about that. Listen, Mark, this is where I bring you back into this conversation, because I think it makes the point I was angling to get at. Mark, do you remember, you may have to help me with the date on this, because I was living in Houston during these years, but I also had a place, I was working up in New York. I came home one weekend, and a young man had gotten shot, Mark, at a convenience store. I want to say it was in the Fifth Ward. And he was accused of stealing some donuts, some lunch meat, or something of that sort. And he got shot and killed by the store owner. Do you recall that incident, Mark?
I recall it on the top of my tongue, but I can't, I can't recall.
Because Michael Harris was on. Now, here's the reason I'm bringing it up, Mark. I remember Michael Harris being on that morning. I think it was a Saturday, and he was talking about it, and Michael was saying, rightfully so, I thought, look, you go into these people's stores, you know how these people are. He was making a case that was solid, but I remember hearing it, and I heard people respond to it like, well, how can you blame that youngster for being shot? And as if he were ignoring the fact that a life had been taken, but the victim was being blamed. I too had some of those feelings, except I really did understand what Michael was saying. Now today, I'm going to take it a step further, which may anger some people more, and it's cool. The conversation that you just gave us about that boy getting shot, that happened 20 years ago, damn near. And here we are again with one of our children being accused of stealing, and perhaps not even stealing, but being gunned down. And we are saying, we are at the same place now. We're going to look at the politicians. Something has to change. I don't know whether either one of those young men were guilty of it. I think the boy it was proven that he had done what he was accused of doing. But that's what I worry about when we talk about having a group of young people to do this, while I'm talking now about the athletes. I'm switching back. I know it's clunky, but it just came up, so stay with me, right? When we ask the kids who are going to school, the kids who have a future in front of them, seemingly, we put all of that weight on them. I want to be sure that we are reminding our children about their obligation, the others, the children and the adults, about taking care of our own business in our own neighborhoods. Now, I don't know whether that young man in the shooting was guilty, but I do know we've been seeing like pop-up gangs talking about taking over towns and challenging the police in the streets. We've got to remember that it's a dual obligation. We're asking our young people who are already committed to being productive. They already have a path forward. We're saying, okay, to strengthen our movement for the good of everybody, we need you to do this kind of thing. This is the way you can help your fathers and your mothers and your brothers and your sisters. You can change your mind about where you go to school. You can change your life plans, but it's for a good cause. However, we've got to make sure that we're telling the truth when we say it's a good cause, because we got to tell the other children that we've got back here to mind what they are doing. Now, I'm going to back the young man you were talking about out of this part of the conversation, because I don't know whether that youngster did anything or not. I don't know whether he did anything or not. But I'm saying this tracks with my conversation yesterday, though, when I was saying we've got to talk about having our children take some of the responsibility, even those who are not playing ball, even those who are not athletes, take some responsibility by easing the problems that we do have in our own neighborhoods with our own children and with our own in our own neighborhood. Go ahead, Mark, please.
And I think you're absolutely right about that, Paris. And I think we used to have those back when I was young. We had these programs and summer youth programs. You had all kind of stuff for us in our community. But at the end of the day, when you say asking these young generation, I want to say this here. I don't blame the young generation on whatever they want to do. I sure hope they go to black people. I hope they go support the black HBCUs and go to those schools. If they decide to go elsewhere, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. But my thing about the young generation, I'm going to put you on out there. I'm going to tell you like it is. If you're running for office, I'm going to hold you accountable. I don't care how old you are. I'm going to hold you accountable, because you're in a predicament that can support a lot of people's lives when you elected an official. You understand what I'm saying? You are a number for the boy. For I don't care how old he is, how young he is. If you're applying for these positions and you get them, I'm holding your feet to the fire. But the ones, the young generation that wants to go head on with their life, and hey, if they want to speak out about it, that's fine. If they don't, they don't, because everybody will not speak up about it. And I understand that. But some people that do speak out, they are sacrificing something, y'all. And that could be their life that they sacrifice. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, these people sacrificed their lives. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, I do.
So at the end of the day, so when you're young, we're not saying that you can't be elected official. We think you're good. We think you're right. But when we get in there, we're going to hold your feet to the fire.
Sure.
That's what it is. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So
yes,
at the end of the day, this young boy that I was talking about, Paris, we all saw.
Give us the background on that. But tell me, where was the shooting?
Let me give you the background.
Yes, sir.
It was in South Carolina. South Carolina, and so it was.
What part do you know? What part do you know?
He was 14 years old. No, I don't know what part. He didn't say the verdict or the case of the 14-year-old boy that was killed in South Carolina.
Was it ice cream? Was it about?
No, what? No, it was about water. It was about the water.
Okay.
He went into the store, and he was going to buy some water, Paris. But when he went into the store, and down there they make it, if you got a backpack, you got to take your backpack off and you got to set it in a safe haven place where the store owners could see that backpack. You have access to it. You can't put things in it if you're trying to steal. You get what I'm saying?
He was a 14-year-old boy?
Yes, he was 14 years old. Yes.
Okay, happened in 2023?
Yes, sir. There you go.
Okay, Columbia, South Carolina. I know the area.
Columbia, that's it.
Columbia, okay.
Columbia,
okay, I lived there for a couple of years, 3 years maybe.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
And so it was an Asian family that owned this store. And he put his backpack where they told him to do with no arguments or nothing. So when he was in the store, he did what they told him to do, so they started watching him and just following him in the store, right? So he grabbed 4 waters. And then guess what he did with the 4 waters, Paris?
What's that?
He put all of the water back in the spot where he took them out.
Yes.
And then he walked out the store and got his backpack.
Yes.
When he walked out the store and got his backpack, guess what they did? They followed him.
Yes.
So they tell the jury they assumed that he had stole something, which he never stole anything.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
pursued him and chased him over 130 feet away, or whatever you want to call
Yes.
it. 130 yards
Yes.
away. And
Yeah.
they shot him.
They murdered
He run
him.
with his shoes off because they murdered him. When you running and your shoes come off, you running for dear life.
Yes,
He dropped
sir.
His cell phone, his shoes, but then they turn around. The Asian son and the Asian daddy said when they shot him, they say he had a gun. Which the
So
forensic
what?
doesn't prove that
Yeah.
he had a gun. He didn't have a gun.
Yeah.
They just said that. Nobody.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they said, Perry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my thing is that they put things out there, but what I'm saying, they shot him in the back.
I get
That's
what you're
I'm trying
saying.
to say.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
shot him in the back.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was the jury came back. Let me tell you something. 4 days of a trial.
Yeah.
4 days,
Yeah.
and they came back and found this man not guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
He's a
come on,
61-year-old store owner. And
Asian, yeah.
Asian store owner. His name is Cyrus. The boy's name was Cyrus Carmack Belton, and he was at a
yeah.
Shell. It was at a Shell gas station, and let's see,
Yeah.
Chow and his son. The man's name was. The shooter's name was Mr. Chow, I guess.
He's Asian.
Yeah, he's Asian, and he says. Though the teen had put the water bottles back, an altercation occurred, and the teen ran. Chow and his son chased the teenager for over 130 yards during the chase. Chow's son claimed the teen had a gun. Chow ultimately shot Carmack Belton in the back. The investigation by the Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott stated there was no evidence the teen stole anything or pointed a gun at the pair, and noted that even if he had shoplifted, it did not justify a fatal shooting. Yeah, that's right. That is true.
So
that
what
is
we're
true.
trying to say is
Yes.
that, so what I'm trying to tell the people is that when that John Lewis bill would have passed, Paris, I
Yes.
think this would have protected
Yes.
anything. But
Yeah.
see, that's what our problem is right now, y'all. We're protected. So we have people that are in Congress. That's why I say if you young people running for these offices, I'm holding you accountable. You
Yeah,
got to
yeah.
stop this nonsense.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he didn't take anything, y'all.
He didn't. Look,
And
and let me
he didn't
apologize
take
right
nothing.
here, right? Because I want to be clear. I want people to hear this clearly. That had no bearing on what I had no bearing. The place for me to make my statement was not with this case that you are citing right now, because this young boy had nothing to do with any of that. I shouldn't even have crossed his case up with that, but I was trying to get some bearing on the case. So let me apologize to the audience for that right now, because this is murder. This is what it sounds like to me. Now, the jury says the man acted in self-defense. Again, I don't know. I don't know, right? However, I do want to say the point that I started to make was absolutely irrelevant to this case. It's relevant to our conversation about another question that I was asked about, how I felt about the sports thing that they're doing and the NIL and all of that. But this is not relative to this young man's case. He doesn't bear any blame from what I read for this. I should not have mixed his case up in what Mark is talking about now. Mark, you are absolutely right. I apologize to you and the audience for mixing these two together, because this is the kind of thing that confuses people. This is the kind, what I just did confuses people. There are people who may agree with me on one part of it, but I'd be misleading them if I allowed them to go on thinking that this young boy had gone in there and created confusion. By no stretch of the imagination does it look, according to the way this story is being reported, that this young boy was involved with any of that. He wasn't doing anything but going into a store. He was acting like a consumer, going into a store to make a purchase. So I wanted to say that. Okay, now go ahead, Mark.
And I want to say this, y'all. The same jury, I want y'all to hear me, the same jury came back and found this man not guilty. They gave him self-defense, although he was running from him. He didn't take anything. They assumed it.
Yes.
That's bad. But then the same thing, the jury came back on Trayvon Martin, man, said he was the aggressor, and George Zimmerman was the one, claiming that Trayvon Martin had no reason in the community, but his dad lived in the apartment complex. You get what I'm saying, Paris? That's why I'm telling the Congress people should be outraged of this justice system, of what they doing to us, no matter what they say. Now, they claim and said he had a gun. Let me tell y'all something, y'all. They planted this, but can I prove it? No, I can't. But guess what, though? If you running that fast, man, and your shoes come off and you, I mean, come on, if you know this man got something, you're not going to chase after him. They know he didn't have nothing whatsoever. And if you shoot him in the back, Paris, and you shoot him in the back, that ain't self-defense. That is not self-defense.
Sure.
But the jury said it was for them, but never for us.
All right, Mark. I appreciate you. Okay.
Racism, white supremacy.
Okay.
Bad.
All right, Mark. All right. Yes, indeed. We are the source. Good morning. Okay. So 713-668-1230, 713-668-1230. And yeah, I'm going to play some more of the, in a few minutes, I'm going to play some more of the excerpts from last Wednesday's show. We're going to tell you where you can get it. You're going to find it on YouTube. It is Steven Orozco and his co-host for this particular show, Dr. Miko Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Trevino Rodriguez. So they're going to be on tomorrow night. But we want you to get a feel. You talk show lovers out there, get a feel for what's ahead. Hello, caller. You're on. Good morning.
There you go, Paris. Promote it, baby. Promote it, ladies. Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, look, it's no secret. I'm a long-time listener. I've heard shows with young people before. From the heart,
yes.
I wish them luck, okay? That's a tough spot, and older people aren't used to, and there's a lot to go on it.
Sure.
What am I doing? I sound like a fool telling Paris his business, right?
No, it's observation.
No, it's cool. No, come on. You know when I tease myself. Not serious. Half serious. But no, seriously, I mean, Paris, no. We shall see if it works. We want it to work, obviously, right, Paris?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
First, before I get started, look, it's a business, okay? Speaking of business, it's more than a show. It's business. It's a for-profit business. Look, it's a good trade-off. My man Paris allows me to call in and within reason say anything up to a point, and he gets to say, well, Texas Mike is helping me make money, baby. And it's a good trade-off, okay? Look, about the what you talked to was Black Sunshine yesterday, and you said it before. You actually think about the things that you go on in the show later in the evening, but the fact that you brought it up says a lot about you, Barrett. But man, you don't have to. I'll read between the lines too, okay? But that's you, baby. Whatever, be you, right? And you're being the best you right now. First of all, let me congratulate my guy, King Trump, for providing me a great life that I have of being in good health and being in good financially and physically. I owe it all to my king, Donald Trump. Yeah, and that's a little stab at you. Yesterday when Paris turned it around cleverly and said, it all connecting one's inner peace and love and health and all that to politics or other. It's wonderful. But now, Paris, yesterday, belated birthday to yesterday. Marilyn Monroe, ladies and gentlemen, she would have been 100 yesterday. I mean, think about it, Liz. When Paris was a young 20, Marilyn Monroe was 40 years old. And she was close for a while there, close to Mr. Coffee, ladies and gentlemen. Not Mr. Coffee. Mr. Coffee, as people know, was
Joe DiMaggio. Yeah, you say as people know. I don't know. More and more people who know that are transgressing. They're no longer here with us. They are crossing. They have crossed those gossamer boundaries.
Whatever.
Yes.
And a little thing on that. For those of you who believe in God and heaven, the afterlife, I mean, you might be right, you might be wrong, but if you're wrong, how will you know? If there is no God and afterlife, what happens? You cease, you don't remember, but I mean, you don't think, you just go a black hole or whatever. But we shall see. But and probably, I to think that the vast universe, that the Earth is a little dot, and me, I'm all important within that little dot. Come on. Okay, and I laugh at myself, or sometimes thinking more. And we should laugh at ourselves sometimes. We have all the answers, and I've heard something. Whether that's going to make me listen to tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Paris promoting in this show says these youngsters, something to paraphrasing, have solutions. And that brings me to the solution thing I've talked about. Look, you can help the world, do your best, but these in the morning magazine, I'm still waiting for somebody to say, "Yo, we solved this." I'm almost getting to the point. I might retire from the morning magazine and go with the youngsters, baby, to Wednesdays to hear their solutions and see if they have any solutions that haven't been thought of before, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, and I may call in and say, okay, flat out, if it's not too vulgar, tell me what your solution is for this, for racism, and they'll answer.
They'll give you an answer. They will work on it.
Yeah. And I'll come back and report to you. And I'll tell them straight out. Somebody's already thought of that, ladies, you youngster. But to help parents make money, and Dr. Wall, how about that? I mean, some people I've never met, ladies and gentlemen, they don't look like me, and I'm helping them. That's called real love, ladies and gentlemen. Look, last but not least, parents, we all think we have the answer. But if the answer isn't working, try something else. But there might not be something else. As we've covered over and over in the show, there's the voting thing. One would say, okay, hasn't worked up until now, and not to say you stop it. Okay, you keep trying, but there is always a better way, a better solution. There's not just one thing you can go on and rely. If this doesn't work, it's all over. Nonsense. There's always a different way, and maybe these youngsters will have the way. I will listen, but probably not. Come on, you want to think these youngsters on Wednesday night will come up with something that I haven't heard before, not just on this station, but in life in general? I'll be honest, and if they do, I'll report to Paris. Hey, have you thought of this? And Paris will say, honestly, between us, Mike, yeah, I have. Come on. But if Paris, I'll be shocked if Paris says, no, you know what, Mike? I've never heard that solution or proposed solution. But so if that's something worth, try something different. No legislation, no law will ever change the hearts of man, ladies and gentlemen. And most people seem to be going for the money in terms of connecting everything to money. We want to get in politics so we can have fair and equal distribution and tax the rich and give it to the poor, and the money aspect of everything. We want to be able to have the same houses and cars as those other people. But that's not the answer, speaking well from somebody that already has his and is going to be dying soon, whether it's 10 years or 15 years. If you give me 10 years, I'll be happy, Barry. But look, the answer is not, and I know where you're coming from. You in general, when you want the money and you're working so hard for the solution because it's connected to money. The answer is what Paris Open was in almost every show, and what I've promoted also, inner peace and love. That's not necessarily connected to money, and that's something you personally have control of. You might not have control of how other people think or feel about you, or who gets in Congress or not if you don't have the numbers to vote them in, or what's going to get passed or not, or who wins. But you do have control of your mind, of yourself. Have a great show, Paris. Take care.
All right, thank you. We are the source. We have lots there, but I've got some of you guys holding. Let me get to you. Hello, caller, you're on.
Now that we finished listening to Tupac Shakur, love and peace and happiness.
What's happening? What's happening? How are you? How are you, sir? What's going on, Ed? All right. All right.
Hey, man, look. Hey, I'm listening to you. Like, hey, Paris, you heard about what happened in Lake Jackson?
No, I need you to get on a. I need you to get on the direct line. I mean, you don't have to hang up, but I think you might be on your
All
Bluetooth,
right,
huh?
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you
there
hear me
you
now?
are. Let us hear that Barry White thing coming on. You got that
Man,
Don Cornelius thing you working
man,
on.
Man, these hearing aids, man, that's supposed to be
Oh.
Bluetooth, man,
Oh.
it don't
Okay.
work worth the hoot, man.
Okay, can you
and
hear
I got
me
old
now? Now I got another question. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh,
loud and
good.
clear,
Okay,
baby.
okay. Well,
Hey,
the audience can
man.
hear you, and that's good. I can too now.
Hey, man, you know the bad thing about these hearing aids and
What's
stuff?
up,
I've
bro?
been wearing these hearing aids for 2 years, and I still can't hear a damn thing.
Oh man.
Paris.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Paris, like, Paris, when I'm in my uniform
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in the elevator, and one time I was going to the doctor's office. I was in the elevator, and I had my fire uniform on.
Yes.
And this lady said, "Oh, I feel safe now. I'm in the elevator fireman." I said, "Ma'am, this elevator stop. I'm screaming louder than you."
Don't get it twisted, huh?
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah. Talk about bursting your bubble. Yeah. Go ahead.
But Paris, they had another police shooting of an innocent person in Lake Jackson this weekend. I don't know if you saw that, but first I thought it was a white guy, but he was a Hispanic guy, Hispanic guy, went to Brazoswood High School. He was coming home from summer break at Texas State, and
18-year-old Texas State student?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And because he didn't, I know people going to make an excuse of where he didn't stop when the police flashed at him to stop, but he felt safer to go to his house. Cop pull out a gun, shoots him in the heart. No questions asked. Why he still had a seatbelt on.
Let me give the audience some details, and then you can pick it up. Okay, so they'll know what we're talking about. An investigation is underway after an 18-year-old college student was shot and killed by a Brazoria County Sheriff's deputy. That follows a chase Monday morning in Lake Jackson, according to officials. It happened just after midnight near FM 2004. For those of you not from Texas, it's 2000 FM Farm to Market Road 2004, and believe it or not, This Way Street. That's how we name streets down here, ladies and gentlemen. But from a state that has a cut and shoot, it should not surprise you. FM 2004 and This Way Street. According to the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office, a deputy attempted to initiate a traffic stop on a vehicle around just shortly after midnight. Investigators say the driver, who has been identified as 18-year-old John Gabriel Mendoza Jr. He's a sophomore at Texas State University. Mr. Mendoza Jr. failed to stop and led deputies on a pursuit. Authorities said the chase ended when Mendoza Jr. pulled into an attached garage of a home in the 100 block of Indian War Trail in Lake Jackson. Officials have not released many details about what happened next, but investigators say the deputy encountered Mendoza and discharged his firearm, hitting him. Mendoza was transported to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Detectives remained at the scene collecting evidence. The Brazoria County Sheriff's Office has requested assistance from the Texas Rangers, who will lead the investigation. OKX, go ahead. Pick it up from there, so now we got some background. Go ahead.
Now the point is that, cops shot him because he was Hispanic. And, this still goes on, but it just goes, but the difference between when a black person shot and a Hispanic person is shot, I wonder if the Hispanic community is gonna go out there and let it be known that they was wrong, what that cop did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the cop didn't have any reason to shoot that boy. I don't care if the point that, because sometimes it's said, when it's in a dark place, go to a brighter place.
Yes, yeah. People will tell their
now,
children that. Yeah.
Yeah. So parents probably told the same thing with their boy. Go to a safe place. When you be stopped by a police officer.
Yeah.
Safe place is at his house. I know people gonna find an excuse to say, well, he should have stopped. But the point is the fact that, when you 18 years old, when you got your group of friends in the car, and when you seen this experience happen to, and you hear it on internet of what happened to black people and some Hispanic who get stopped by the cops, of course they panic and get scared.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And the safe place for this boy was at his house. But the point is, the cop did not have a reason to shoot this man just because he didn't stop when he said to stop.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. That's the problem when you have these white supremacist cops. They see a minority and it seems like they lose their mind.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. That's what happened in this case. And of course, just like Mark said, about the guy who being shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a system of how things supposed to do as far as divide and conquer when it comes down to other minorities. When they shooting black people and stuff like that, they get an all-white jury instead of free and say, hey, don't trust, but don't trust your lying eyes or what you see. And that's what's going on, with that.
Yes.
But
yeah.
But parents, I really wish the Hispanic community would rise up on this case and go out there and raise some sand and let them know that they don't like it that a white cop can shoot one of their own, and just don't say nothing, because if they don't, they're gonna continue to do it.
Well, I think you may be witnessing some disillusionment with the collective police in the Latino communities across the country. I think this latest episode with ICE and the indiscriminate way they have handled the charge to deport people, and the way the differences in the way the Justice Department has removed other people, and the way it is going after specifically the black and Latino population, in this case particularly the Latino population where we are, I think may have opened some eyes. I wouldn't bet on it because there will be always those people who say just comply. And here's something one of the commenters said about this article, and you can expect this will sound familiar to many of you. Why didn't he stop when the officer turned the lights on? The parents and the attorney said he was scared and wanted to get home to his dad. The kid had obviously driven from Lake Jackson to San Marcos, since that's where he attended college. If you're scared, you drive to a well-lit area and stop. And that's what many parents teach their children. I know many black people. I know many black people who tell their children that. I don't care, even if you're in street life, you want to get to a well-lit place. You want it because you want to survive. That's how you want to survive to stop. That may turn out to be one of the smartest things that Jay Prince did when the police were after him, and he knew they were after him for no good reason. He said, let me get to a well-lit place. Let me get to a well-lit place so I can survive this encounter. So people know not to get, if they can, you teach your children not to get into a place that's secluded and lost and it's just you and you're in unfamiliar territory and you don't know what kind of policeman is stopping you. I mean, that's it. It may not seem like logic to the rest of the world, but for people who've had to go to lots of funerals and have read the stories in their local papers about outlaw police, it makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Exactly, and you know, even when it comes down to black people that frequent in these other minorities stores that put in black neighborhoods, you know, as a young guy, who was a young militant, I try my best not to go to no stores.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No
yeah.
convenience stores.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather go to the Rice Food Market to get a bubble gum, get some gum,
Yes.
or the Fiesta that was in South Park, instead of going these little family little Asian and Arab owned stores who treated black people like crap.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't give them the satisfaction for them to even accuse of me stealing.
Yeah.
Because the fact is that they always were looking for, and it wasn't as bad then it is now, as far as you know, they can go and just shoot
Sure.
black kids.
Sure.
But it was but back then in the 70s and early 80s, it was a possibility that it could happen, and you know, in the late 80s it did, you know. And you know, I guess some of this, you know, and I hope I'm not rambling, Paris, that you know, you remember back, Paris, when we used to always tell each other the struggle continues. Or
Yes.
the struggle is real.
Yeah, the struggle is real. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, the struggle is
remember that?
real. Yeah, of course it is. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
And the thing is, I think some parents, some people that became parents forgot to remind their kids that the struggle is still real. So they can have their eyes and ears and their ears continue to be on a swivel, so they can know that struggle is real. And when we talk about struggle, we talk about racism and white supremacy, and also it works for other minorities that weren't black. They still believe in racism and white supremacies because they was always told that the black person was the bottom of the whatever they steal and all that crap. So those people believe that.
Absolutely. Okay.
And oh yeah. So you know, I just wanted to say that little piece, and then also, Paris, that the trial is going on too in Frisco with the young college black boy now who stabbed the racist white boy that was bullying him and fought him in Frisco. That trial is going on. They did jury selection yesterday, so I'm gripping to see what's going to happen. And see if they're going to find, you know, the black dude innocent or guilty. But the thing is, you know, like, he was standing his ground, and that should be in full effect of him standing his ground, because the fact is that, you know, he was minding his own business, and the dude fought him and told him he was supposed to be there.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, so stand your ground should be for, you know, stand your ground, they really is a white-only thing. But it comes down to the courts, and let's see if it's going to work for black people to stand our ground. So that's all I got, Paris.
Okay.
I just wanted to give a little news about that everything going on, and just, you know, about Lake Jackson, what I think is bad, because because Paris, I got to look, you know, although as a Hispanic boy, me and being have a minority son, I got to be afraid, because the fact is that they can happen to my son.
Sure.
And that's the scary part. You know, man, I'm scared to death for my son is in Atlanta, in Kennesaw, Georgia, in Atlanta. That's scary, man. Every time I get on the road, I'm scared.
Sure. Yeah. You got to be.
Because these white racist cops, man.
Yeah. All right, buddy. All right. I appreciate it.
All right.
Appreciate it, X. I am Paris. Good morning. Good morning to you all. Hello, caller. You're on.
Good morning, Paris, Eley.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Nowhere. Hey, Paris, how you doing, baby? Look here.
Bobby Ray.
The
Tyro.
boys are one crying in the wilderness.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah.
we are all connected. You don't believe that. Come in, he say, Fred, no. Do you know what Fred no is? Don't say shit. Don't say nothing, Paris. that was the area where they went in and rigged up the vote machines, and now you don't have no more jazz or crackers to kick around. Just leave it alone, man. Just leave it alone. Say, go to the light. Go to the light.
Come to the light. Come to the light. Go to the light. Okay.
Hey, go stay in the light. Look at Paris.
Yeah.
I need to, and you supposed to be Paris the wise. And just the other day, Paris.
Yes, sir.
Just the other day.
Uh-huh.
One of the ones that we love on the 18th, blah, blah, blah. She said, two things can't be right. And you didn't say nothing. Come on, man.
So what now? What happened the other day? What happened?
On the 18th player, she came out and said, two things can't be right. Come on, man. And you said nothing. Well, that's okay.
Well, you know, I say this so often. Two things cannot. Wait a minute. Two opposite things cannot be true in the same way at the same time. You can't be an only child and have a brother. However, that can be true, but it can be true in another way. That is, if you are speaking of your brother metaphorically, or if you are angry with your brother. If you're angry with your brother, and so, you know, it's like you cannot be a citizen of the United States really and say Donald Trump is not my president. But you say you're a resident of the United States. Those two things can't be true in certain ways, but in other ways they can. It means that you reject him because you're speaking figuratively. So yeah, Bobby. But let's go with what you got.
Hey,
yeah, buddy. What?
But you know you the Pied Piper, right? So we need you to be. We need as the Pied fucking Piper. We need you and the conductor of the choir. We need you. We need you to be on point.
Okay,
I mean, that's cool though. But look here.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir, Bobby.
I know you don't. You ain't been there but 2 days, but that was the time we had a north side mic and a Texas mic.
Yeah.
So we had north side mic.
Mm-hmm.
Please come up, Texas mic. You know from north side, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am from the north side. So I'm north side, man. I'm from south of City Gas, north side. No, I'm north side in the house. So everybody, Sheila, come here, Sheila. Come here, doggone whoever from the north side. Come on in. Barbara Jordan, come in, Barbara. North side in the house. But Paris.
Yes, sir.
The main thing is the main thing, Paris, we used to say, I mean, the dude just asked you, say, Paris, do you remember? We used to say, Paris, we used to say, if you stayed ready, you don't have to get ready.
That's
no, I know you don't know what that means.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Today we die, Paris. What you ready to do today, boy? He said, that, sir, is necessary. I mean, it's easy to say that. Say, yeah, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death? I will
feel no evil because I am.
But get what though, Paris? We are all connected.
Yeah.
We're connected. I mean, I don't care, Paris. You say, I prefer the created rather than the creator. You know, and we know that Mammon is the name of the god of money. But that's the place if we all connect, and we all connected and say, in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. We get on down. So I heard in your show sometimes say, and one of the names is mentioned is Moses. Okay, come in, Moses. He said, what? He said, are you the one that saw the burning bush, Moses? He said, yep. He said, did they give you a message? He said, yep. He said, what's the message? He said, thou shalt have no other God before me. So they say, are you trying to say there's some other God, Moses? He said, yep. But anyway,
is it
God of Abraham, Isaac, and Moses? God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said blah 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 blah. He said, and what did the God of Paris Eve say? He said, who? He said, if I say you ain't nothing, you would never be nothing, and you could never have nothing, and I can call the Supreme Court of the IRS, and boy, we will run you away.
Yeah.
Who say that, Paris? Some Texas Mike. Okay. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, man, we gonna love you for you.
Long time.
You put it up. But guess what though?
Yeah.
We are all the boys of one family. In the wilderness, there, we are all connected. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be locally or whatever, we are connected. Thank you.
All right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What, buddy?
Lake Jackson used to be a plantation. Did you know that? The Lake Jackson plantation.
Yeah, I knew of it.
So,
Yeah.
So you trying to get in your mama's garage, and you think the police care about that? Man,
yeah.
they're ready. You don't have to get ready. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get back with you.
All right, buddy. All right, man. I'll talk with you later. Bobby Ray Tyrone. Hello, caller. You're on. Good morning.
Hey, Paris.
Hey, what's happening with you? Garby!
Hey, man. Am I on?
Yeah, you on.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing good, Mr. Paris. Have a cup of coffee this morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Listen, I was, most people have experienced firsthand violence in their family. They've probably been slapped in the mouth by their mama, their mother.
Okay.
Beat with a switch. All these kind of things, right?
Sure. I need you to speak up some, Coffee.
Yeah. All these things have happened to most black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet, their biggest complaint, or a lot of people's biggest complaint is that Donald Trump is a racist. This is like the worst thing that could ever happen in the world, according to some black folks, is that Donald Trump can be a racist, right? And I'm trying to understand this dominance of that statement, where even your previous caller was making reference to everyday racism that people experience, right? And the reason I bring this up, because I think people are, and I had this conversation with you about the weaponization fund.
Mm-hmm.
This money, bunch of money, almost $2 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm hearing this, all these conversations, and it was my conclusion that I was hoping that Mr. Trump will be able to allocate the money, or whoever's going to allocate it, because there was a possibility I might could get some. Money is flowing around.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When money is being passed around,
Yeah.
a lot of people got a chance to get some money, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons I gave you, was the reason why some of the people in Congress wasn't pushing back as hard.
Mm-hmm.
Because they may be trying to figure out a way to get some of that money,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about this, right? And the guy said something, and I heard this, and he said that President Obama, and there is precedent to what Trump is doing, but I won't go into that.
Mm-hmm.
That President Obama is a constitutional law scholar,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I can wrap your head around it, right? He's a constitutional law scholar, and then he happens to become the President of the United States. I mean, what a perfect match, right? What a perfect match. You can't get no better match than that, right? Yet this thing about the money is just give me a little bit. So I've been trying to raise different conversations with you and other people about how can we get the money, from these politicians,
Mm-hmm.
right? They handling money. I mean, $100 million.
Yeah, they are, absolutely.
They handling real
Absolutely.
money.
Yeah.
I mean, 1.2 billion in the Kamala Harris race for presidency, right? This is real money, real money. And then here you have Trump. You know, all the people that you would think, all the scholars that come, you know, Barack Obama and all the lawyers, all these high institutions and so forth, right? But here you have this man figure out a way to tap into $2 billion to give to people, right? Supposedly. They've been agreed by the government. And I'm saying to myself, well, damn, you got this guy that was a constitutional scholar that was in office for 8 years. In some kind of way, he didn't figure out a way to talk about the reparations. Okay. Now, how do you reconcile these ideas? That, but you know, here's a guy who's a constitutional scholar, and he didn't bring up, and he had the Congress and the Senate and all the people saying they're Democrat on his side for a couple of years. But he didn't figure out a way or even bring up the subject matter of trying to get money directly, you know, other than the economy thing that happened with the, I don't know what the banking situation was. I don't know if it was Trump or Obama that first started that. But you see the point the connection I'm trying to make here.
Let's walk through it. Let's walk through it together to give some clarity to it. I think maybe you can help me as well in the process. Are you saying that are you making a comparison that if Donald Trump found a way to get money to, quote, his people, then President Obama should have found a way to get money to his people?
Well, it would stand the reason.
And who would his people be? Okay, I want you to stay with me on that. I want you, because see, here's the important part of it. Who do you consider Obama's people to be, and who do you consider Trump's people to be? Because that has a bearing on my answer. If you mean if you said reparations, then that sounds like black people to me.
Yeah.
And what do you think would have happened to? You say it himself. He's a constitutional scholar. So first of all, I think as a constitutionalist, he would have said, well, that's not possible. They're not going to let me do that. And so he didn't do it. There's a reason that this has only been done once the way it's being done in 250 years when it comes to the way Donald Trump is handling this. No president has ever done this before, not just Obama. Obama was the only black president. So let's not make it seem like Obama didn't have the nerve to do this. There were white presidents preceding him, and not one of them has done this slush fund thing that we're talking about. So I think we have to give some grace there. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I frame it otherwise as a party thing, okay, because it's my understanding, and I haven't done the research on this, but I will, that there was a bill advanced for reparations by one of the congressmen several years ago. Okay, I think it was. I heard the guy, and I heard this clip, and the guy mentioned John Conyers.
Out of Michigan. John Conyers is out of Michigan. Yeah.
Right. So this idea about reparations was on the table prior to Obama getting in office.
But he was a black congressman. He was a black congressman too.
Yeah, but I want to reframe it, Paris.
Okay.
You want to?
Sure. Go ahead.
I shouldn't target the presidency per se, even though we have an example of it today. But if I reframed it and said that it was a Democratic issue or platform issue, okay, versus a Republican platform issue, and Obama just happened to be the head of the party at the time, okay, then it still begs the question, how is a man as unqualified as Donald Trump supposedly is, according to all these people's pronouncements, how is he able to come and make this happen?
Well, he hasn't made it happen. Let's get to stop there. Look, Coffee, I promise you, I think I can make this connection, and then you can go on with it. But let's set out the proper framing here. Moving off of what you just said. Yeah, let's say that. But Donald Trump's constituency in that place would be Republicans who are willing to go along with that. Obama's Democrats were not willing to go along with that. It does not seem, first of all, because it was, at its root, a black issue. So Obama was going to have to fight off the Democrats and some blacks. But Donald Trump had a hold over the Republican Party that Obama did not have a hold over the Democratic Party legislatively the way Donald Trump has a hold over the Republican Party. And that makes a lot of difference. But one thing is for certain, he has proposed this, but he walked away from it, trying to make a settlement, because now he has gotten himself into a deeper hole. So he made a gesture. And, you know, we like to talk a lot now about the difference between symbolism and substance. You and I have this conversation from time to time. Yeah, he has made a symbolic gesture. But once the legal shell was penetrated, there's no legality there. So now this guy has backed himself into a corner of his own making, where 35 independent judges have said that the courts need to investigate him under Rule 11 of the USCMJ for frivolously or either feloniously colluding to bring a case to the court.
They're not going to be able to prove.
Well, wait a minute. You're saying that there's a difference. Maybe they won't be able to prove it, but the first thing he has done is he backed away from that, because it wasn't a sane idea. He has not done that. What he has done was set up a framework that appears to be clearly illegal, and he has backed away from it. So we get people in a panic, you and me, and we get people in a panic sometimes, as you know, I suppose, because when we hear something, we report it out as though it's done. And whereas the real truth is, these are the steps that are important in the democratic process when we set up this government, because we didn't think anybody would ever test that. Well, at least the founding fathers doubted that someone would, right? But so now it's being tested. But he hasn't overrun the system in any way. He's got a lot of cases, and plus he's backing off now. He's backing off.
I mean, that is a hopeful framing from your point of view.
Well, they've got a better.
These lawyers, Farris.
Yeah.
It's not that Donald Trump is at risk of anything. The lawyers hammered this out. He gave instruction. He had a court case. Trump was the primary. They came back with a settlement based on lawyers' negotiations
amongst themselves. He controls he controls both legal entities. He controls the IRS, the lawyers from the IRS, and his lawyers who represented him personally and now represent the Justice Department. So
when Obama was in office, I guess he didn't have that kind of a reign, as you say.
Right.
You seem to.
I'm just saying what is. I'm just saying what is. No, you say it when Obama had it. When Obama had it, when Obama had it, he did what he did. But let me.
But is this conversation then? Is this conversation about reparations a mute?
No, I ain't even thinking about reparations. I ain't even thinking about reparations. Reparations in this case. Look, what I'm thinking about is we've got a government. I think I can connect you to it. I'm thinking about the illegitimacy of the Justice Department. The illegitimacy of the presidency is going to be at stake, and apparently he's feeling that because now he's trying to backpedal to another position. But and since the judges seem to be the guidelines here, because the Congress does not seem willing up until now to take him on, then they were comfortable doing that. They were collusion. They were in collusion. They're going to work to prove that. And now they're all trying to backpedal from that with one another. Attorney General Pam Bondi is saying, wait a minute, I didn't have anything to do with all of this stuff. The Deputy Attorney General did it, and then the Deputy Attorney General is passing it off somewhere else. And so what we have here is a lawsuit in retreat, a money grab that was in retreat, and surprise, surprise, I think it's now up to 20-some senators who are very unhappy about this because they weren't included. So to compare that with Obama, when, that's just a name to throw out there, but that has nothing to do with where we are today. And that's why I say reparations in terms of Obama. This doesn't even apply to that. This man is wrecking the United States Treasury, robbing it blind. And we talk about that. Wait, hold on. I'm going to make this point. Then I'm going to cede the floor to you. This guy is robbing the United States Treasury. Obama's name shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath with this guy. If you think that's an admirable thing, then you go ahead and tell us now. You think what he did is an admirable thing?
Paris, because I use.
So you do think it is an admirable thing?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
There is no doubt.
Okay, go ahead.
Admirable because, as I alluded to and stated, and plainly, that when money is flowing around, there's opportunity for other people to get some, hopefully me. And the mechanism is now in place.
What mechanism is it there in play?
The mechanism.
What mechanism?
Is in place to address reparations. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No. This is about a slush fund for people. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's slow down now because I want to do this. I want to finish this with you. This is a slush fund. I'm going to ask a question that you ask me, that you ask others from time to time. What case do you have against the police that you think is going to get you some money out of this Department of Justice fund? Because that's what it's for.
If you read the charge as to how the money came about, they say the people who have been aggrieved by the government have suffered at the government's hand. Okay, This is a case for reparations. All we need are the lawyers. Not these people talking about the NCAA. I mean, the NCAA.
I
get money. This is a case for the lawyers with all these high-powered learning to make the case for reparations through this fund. Okay, through this fund, whereas Trump is saying that the people who have suffered at the hand of the government, okay, that they have.
You believe that he thinks that is black people? What indication do you have from his background? What indication do you have from his background that from his past judgments that he's clearing out this pot of money and he will control the distribution of it, right? He's going to control the distribution of it. What makes you think that this is going to be about reparations and anything other than?
What do you think they're receiving?
They are not receiving reparations so far.
They're receiving money for injury. They're receiving money for injury at the hand of the government.
And where would that fit? Where would you fit into at the hands of the government? How do you think they're going to read that line? You've got to show some standing. I've heard you bring this up before. You got to show where you've been injured. Where have you been injured? Where have you been injured?
Paris, what is the argument for reparations?
The argument for reparations is not germane to this particular bill because it's not written for that. Because you know what? It's not written for that. The senators know it. Listen, man. At the end of the day, the senators know that that's why they raised the question. Well, in the same token that you're talking, they raised this question. Well, wait a minute. Does this mean that the people who attack the police can get some of this? That the child molesters who are included in that category of pardons that you gave out, can they now come back and get some of this money? And the answer was it's taxpayer money. Yeah, they might be able to do that if they file. But the likelihood of that, I think, I don't know whether you'd agree or not, but I think them allowing them to make this a vehicle to allow black folks to get reparations, I don't think that's going very far
Well,
in Congress.
that's why I asked you to get guys like Dean Douglas and some of
Dean
these
Douglas is not the. You read the paper. You know, Dean is not the only guy. I don't have to. I hope Dean is enjoying his life. I do want Gene on, but there are other constitutional scholars we can talk about. You're hearing from some of them right now. Norm Eisen is one. Mark Elias is another. They are great corporate lawyers who've actually gone to court, and you can read their writings. And what's my man's name, who was the Solicitor General for a while, and his name is escaping me, Indian guy, but great lawyer, great lawyer. They got the lawyers in D.C. who can work that part out.
Yeah. I can't get a hold of the ones in Houston, but listen, I can't get the ones in Houston on the radio.
Go ahead, man. I'm going to let you wrap it up.
Only point I'm trying to make to you, Paris, is that if you give it a little bit more thought, you may see my point that this fund is available from the language, some of the language I've read, to people who have suffered an injury at the hand of the government.
I see your point.
Okay.
I want the audience to understand this. You and I do not differ on the justice of it, if that were the case. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying I see that as a pretty tall hill to climb.
Waste time, though, if people are going to waste time talking about kids not going to college and trying to have an impact on the political process, I would think this would garner some attention from these people who supposedly been educated at the highest level. That here's some money that's on the table, okay, and it looked like the charge of the people who may be able to receive it are people who have been injured by the government.
No,
it's
not, and that's what you. Yeah, I'm telling you. I think it would be hard as hell for a black group, for a lawyer representing a black group to go there, and then you're going to wind up in Congress with people saying, well, wait a minute, now this has turned into a reparations fund. And then how do you think Donald Trump is going to answer the charge when he says, if he's running away from it now, when they say, oh, wait a minute, this is a reparation fund. You see what he does when he's in trouble with his foundation people. Yeah, he would have to run away from it. Donald Trump is not going to stand up and say this is a reparation fund.
He's moved on to the next thing.
No, he's left the last thing undone. Yeah, he moves on to the next thing, but he leaves the last thing undone. And finally, I have to say this, right? Expecting the President of the United States to put his name on something that gives reparations to black people in spite of all that he said, it just seems unreasonable to me. Now, the greater point, I think, would be this, though, that all of that money, people are complaining, you know why? Because all of that money is not being put on the table. That money is being put on the table, his opposition argues, to create a slush fund for adding his own personal police force and other matters that he wants done politically, because he reserves the right to create a commission. He reserves the right to not have his family investigated or punished. He reserves the right to hire a commission that is only answerable to him. That's what that deal entailed, and that's why there are senators who are saying, hell no, we don't want that. We don't have kings. This deal would make him a king. That's why it's no good, and it doesn't serve everybody by its very nature. I'm giving you the last word because you're the guy. I gotta go. Go ahead. Tell me what you got to say.
You know, all those rights, additional rights you say the president gains from this fund. In my mind, he already has them.
Well, he doesn't, and that's the courts are here to remind him of that.
Why not go for the money? Why not try to get some of the money?
But he ain't gonna give the money to anybody. That money ain't coming to you.
That don't keep me from trying to get some, though.
Well, yeah, we all try. We can sleep outside the front door.
That doesn't keep me from trying to get some.
I wouldn't dare try to stand in your way. Okay, I gotta tell you guys. 19 minutes before the hour. I am Paris. Good morning. Hello. How are you? Bless you. Come on, let's do it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's
Thanks
that?
for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call, Your Excellency.
I'm honored to take it. I'm honored to take it.
You know, I'm just so bewildered. I'm trying to get my. How in the world can, the thing is, Paris, that black people are not respected, their lives are not valued as others. And on top of that, you got some black people that don't respect black achievements. They want to try to find fault, instead of looking at themselves. You know, you're gonna talk about why did Obama do this? Obama is a constitutionalist. He knows the law. He respects the law.
Yes.
He goes by the law.
Yes.
This guy in office right now, he doesn't respect the Constitution. He doesn't respect established laws and precedents. You know, he's trying to create his own.
You
set of
just
rules.
said it. You just said everything I said. You
that's
said
what I'm
it.
saying.
You said it better
plain
and
as day.
shorter. You said it better and more concisely. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. So how you expect this man to go out of the way? He already know what the Constitution says. He's a constitutionalist. He's not going to go against it because he respects it. He abides by it.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, until
That's
we
right.
get something in place so we can change the rules.
Yep, that's right. That's right. I agree.
It's amazing to me. You know, every time I hear this guy on the radio, he reminds me of the character from Dave Chappelle when he had that racist deal. He thought he was black. He was going to a Klan rally. You remember that scene?
Yeah,
that
yeah,
skit?
I know what you're talking about.
That's what this guy reminds me. Every time he hits the phone, you know, is he some kind of plant or what? Does he look in the mirror when he wakes up in the morning and look at himself? Yeah, maybe he needs to petition Trump so he can be his spokesperson. Because he's trying to, every time you turn around, he's trying to justify Trump's illegal actions, criminal behavior. And then you try to compare it with Obama. There's no comparison. You know, Obama didn't reside on a conspiracy in the White House. He didn't have all that kind of stuff. Going on.
Yeah,
they trying to find something.
Yes. Yeah.
Ever since he took office, from day one, the Republican Party been on his back. He's still out, and they still trying to bring stuff up.
Yeah. And
what is it going to take for people to realize, and you know, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
See it for what it is.
Yeah. I agree, and I want to thank you so much. Okay. I want to
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
I mean,
always
this guy,
good to hear your sobering reflections.
Yeah, just call me a glass of brandy, because I'm about to give me another shot right now. Cause
I hear you, man.
Taking my call.
I hear you. All right, always. Hello, callers. Hello, you're on. Hello, how are you?
Doing okay, my man.
Yes,
you got
sir.
it blazing down.
Spivey, my guy. What's going on, man? How you doing? General, I had to call you General. Air Force General.
It's you, y'all, everything's all good, Paris.
Okay.
Just want to comment on the $1.8 billion.
Yes, sir.
That notice that Billy Goat Gruff, he didn't buff up this much on that. And he went along with the judges telling him that you can't do that. You can't distribute this for whatever reason.
Yeah.
He didn't argue too much about that. Because you know what he going to do?
What's that?
You know, he always have a plan B, C, but some kind of way he going to change the name of the game. And then because, see, the whole thing is, it's still money that he appropriated, which the Republicans trying to figure that out now. How did we let him get away with thinking that we're going to go this far? Why not? Because you've been letting him get away with stuff that was illegal. Didn't make that much noise. So it's still his money now. That hasn't been thrown out. He just can't give it to the people because he said it. That's what he was going to be doing. You know, the Proud Boys and all that who violated the White House. So that money is still his. So he just going to misappropriate it where majority of that money, at least $1 billion going to go in his pocket. Yeah. The rest of it, he'll divvy it up to his followers and stuff. Just, it's kind of like Al Capone making a payment to a senator or something. You just keep it quiet and don't say nothing. Just close your eyes. Don't see nothing. You don't hear no evil. Speak, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, you said something about reparation package.
Mm-hmm.
I remember clearly that when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor,
Yes.
that all of the Japanese Americans who was American citizens, the people in charge, they was in prison.
They were interned. Yeah, they were. That's right. They absolutely were. They
And
absolutely.
as far as I know, they're the only people who has got reparation from the United States government.
Yeah, and and I think we were a part of that reparation package that the Jewish people got. I think we were a part of that. Some of our money was used in that. We were not the principals of it, but some of it went to Germany. Some of it went to Germany, I think, to help with that. That's right. That's right.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's one thing I could say about the news magazine.
Mm.
This is they must listen to. Go to YouTube. Like I'm on my phone, my cell phone. I listen to you on my cell phone.
Yeah, yeah.
And I tell people, you learn so much because of the diversity of the ideas and the knowledge of the people that call in. Because the people that call in, they are knowledge seekers, and they want to exchange the knowledge that they've gained with the knowledge from the host and our listening audience. And you do that. If I had to grade you as a farming instructor, I have to give you A+, my brother.
Oh, I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you so much. You have a great day, man. I appreciate it. It's 11 minutes before the hour of 11, and I've still got so much to learn. So much to learn. I do want to add this. Listen, when we're talking about this money, bear in mind that Congress is in charge of spending. They allocate money. Now, a president can go into some money that's already been allocated to a specific agency or department, and when they're putting the budgets together, move money from one branch of the budget to the money, from one branch to another. But can a president do that through what is called a slush fund? That's what the argument is here. And we don't want you to lose sight of what the real argument is. Let me tell you what my argument is. It's why I stayed there with coffee, as I sometimes do, because I promised you we would talk about policy. And beneath all of that argument, it seems to be about Trump. And when you get to that label, everybody has opinions about Trump. So it's easy to get sidetracked in what he's doing. Let me tell you what my concern is on a deeper level. I'm talking about a policy that would allow a president of the United States to take the spending power from Congress, who is the Article 1 branch. That's their job, to spend money. The House, the representatives of the House of Representatives, that's what they do. First place in the lineup, Article 1, the House. That's where the people's money is spent. They controlled the Treasury. They controlled spending. Now here's a president after all these years who's come along and said, I want to sue my own government. And why are you suing them some? Well, they released my tax records. His IRS, I want to drill down as elementary as I can be on this. He is suing his IRS because somebody in there, through mistake or error, despite the fact that he talks about he's only hired the best people, only kept the best people. His argument is they violated me by releasing my tax funds. And I'm going to sue them. The IRS said, oh, sir, well, but we work for you. Okay, that may be. But I'm going to have my Attorney General, my Justice Department, sue my IRS. So each side reports to him in this dispute. So he is both the aggrieved party and the party and the party who's choosing his jury and choosing his defense attorney and or prosecutor. And actually, he's the prosecutor because he's telling them, I want to sick you, the Department of Justice, on my IRS. And so now that was the ridiculousness of the situation. But it was uncharted territory. Now some judges have stepped in and said, whoa, wait a minute. I'm hearing this case and it's making my damn head hurt because there's something missing here. Okay, this is your agency. You run it. You appointed the people to it. They serve at your they serve under your sufferance, because you allowed them there. You could fire all those people anytime you wanted, if you wanted to do that, right? So this is your IRS, and you claim it's competent, or it was when it did this. Now, over here is your Justice Department. So you're telling them to sue your guys over here. Okay, so who is representing the interest of the American people? Because all three of these people seem to be lined up in your interest. All of these other parties, three of you over here against the other party. Well, who's the aggrieved party? You are. You people who think you're going to get some money back. The American taxpayer. That's why he started backpedaling. The judges said, wait a minute, you got to have, this is an adversarial system. Adversary means what it said. I got to see this other person you're talking about, this other party. Who are you complaining against? Who's the adversary here? There was no adversary. Everybody was for the complainant, in this case, Donald Trump. And he was so sure of it, he said, okay, you caught me, Judge. You caught me. I'll back out. You know what? Just forget about it, guys. I'll settle for, almost $2 billion. Peanuts. Don't worry about it, Judge. Sorry we bothered you with this. Then 35 other judges saw what was happening, who had been watching this case, and said, whoa, wait a minute. They wrote to this judge. Remember, these are lifetime judges we're talking about here. So, right? So they're not people scurrying around trying to gain favor to be promoted necessarily, right? These are lifetime judges, and they're making independent decisions. So some of them have apparently said, no, Judge, we are filing our own complaint, and we want you to be watchful here because this man may have violated Rule 11. Rule 11 says you can't misuse the courts, and you can't enter into collusion or any of these things. You can't file frivolous lawsuits, and it is the legal weapon that they are trying to use to kill what they are describing as this slush fund. And here's what they're saying on the Hill. They're saying, in Washington, a federal judge ordered that the Kennedy Center remove Trump's name from his building there. That's one of the things that they're doing. And also that this lawsuit be stopped. This slush fund should not be permitted to go forward because some of them are saying it fits the definition of fraud. In Florida, another judge teed up for the trash can this corrupt so-called settlement with the IRS. The deal set up a $1.8 billion slush fund, potentially to reward his cronies, including convicted January 6th criminals, and incidentally, granting him and his family $600 million in tax relief. This is why I was saying to you, that's not all that's in that bill. This is not a harmless bill. This is where your money's going. And at the same time, we got a president who's saying, I've got a war to run. What? That's adding to the bill. But you've got to cut back on your medical care. You're going to pay more for gas. Affordability is more and more out of your reach. And you think you stand a chance on getting some of that money back from a bill that's written specifically to see that that money moves exactly where the president wants it to move? And you've seen what happens when people try to move Donald Trump someplace where he doesn't want to go. He's going to spend that money should this, if this ever went through, he'd spend that money on the people he would be sure that the people he wanted to get that money got it. Because he has not mentioned the black folks or reparations a time. He was specific about who was to get that money. And the judges are saying, some of them are saying the way the deal unfolded neatly fits the classic definition of a fraud on the court, albeit an unusual one. Fraud on the court is rarely successful and the consequences are too severe. It occurs when a party intentionally deceives the judicial system in a way that subverts the impartial administration of justice. A federal judge has the power to vacate a judgment where there has been such a fraud. In a thoughtful order, Miami federal judge Kathleen Williams said she wanted to investigate the circumstances surrounding Trump's efforts to settle the lawsuit in a way that benefited him and his allies. And that word allies means what it says. Allies, his allies are not black people or Hispanic people. And now his allies could be individuals who are black, brown, Asian, could be anybody he's making money with or getting money from. But this judge said, listen, these allegations are grievous. And that's the bizarre deal to resolve the case was premised on deception. 35 former federal judges appealed to Williams to upend the settlement. When she had dismissed Trump's bogus suit against himself, she raised the question of whether there was truly a case or controversy between two adversaries as required by the United States Constitution. See, this is where the guardrails are. That's why you say, oh, he's going to get his way. He's not getting his way, ladies and gentlemen. If he did, this thing would have been done and out the door. When he realized how sticky it would come even amongst his own Republicans, he's trying to crawfish out the door saying, oh, no, that's okay, we'll settle it. We'll settle it between the three of us. But listen who the three of us are. His IRS, who's got to grant the money, President Trump himself, who's asking for the money, and his attorney, who's asking for Trump to get the money. Do you notice somebody missing out of that? Yeah, the people representing the United States taxpayers. So the idea that he wants this money to go to taxpayers is laughable. He wanted those people who he's had plenty of chance to, if he was so attuned to miscarriages of justice, he's had plenty of opportunities to file on behalf of a hounded and despised class. He's got enough cases to prove that. And he could bring in black people, he could bring in anybody else he wanted who had individually suffered like that. No, he did this after the insurrection on January 6th, which were mostly his followers. He's rewarding them. And he's not going to have some minority coming in there trying to horn in on his sweet thing unless they are handpicked by him. Good luck being in that number. The judge has asserted. Well, let me give you this nugget. The former judge was sharp enough to. She urged one judge urged Williams to circle back and reopen the case. They contended that the deal raised serious questions about Trump's candor toward the court and manipulation of the judicial system, all of which are illegal. Now, this is all of which are illegal under Rule 11. Remember, I said Rule 11. You keep your ears out for that phrase during these conversations. The ruling was a blow not only to Trump, but to his beleaguered acting Attorney General, Todd Blanche. He was the sole signatory to the addendum to the agreement. Judge Williams asserted she was empowered to investigate serious misconduct in any case before her and ordered Trump's lawyers to tell her by June 12th, so they've got some time to answer to this. I believe June 12th is on a Thursday or a Friday, whether the lawsuit should be formally reopened because the court was the victim of a fraud. Yeah, I do believe that's on a Friday. The court could have been the victim of a fraud. This guy may now be facing an allegation of trying to defraud the court. Trump, along with two of his sons and the Trump family business, first sued the IRS in January, claiming they were owed at least $10 billion because a former contractor had leaked their tax returns during Trump's first term in the White House. See, the more you find out about this, the uglier it gets and sounds. His sons, for crying out loud, who haven't, to my knowledge, put in a day of government work, all right? But they are suing because the contractor who was hired by the IRS wasn't even an IRS employee. It was hired by the IRS. They did damage to them by the release of that information so harmful that it's worth $10 billion to them. These guys are in every tabloid in the world. They've been accused of smoking dope and everything else. What is it? Their good reputation? It can't keep them from getting money. They get money from everywhere in the world. So how is this harm to them worth $10 billion? And what did they lose in the deal? They've got deals in Saudi Arabia, in the United Arab Emirates, all over this country. They've got corporations bending over for them. They've got corporations throwing money at them. The purported settlement is an abomination. A Virginia federal judge temporarily blocked any further steps to create the $1.8 billion slush fund. Congressmen, including many Republicans, have also been harshly critical. In a footnote, Williams also questioned the addendum granting Trump, his family, and the businesses immunity from IRS investigation. So this is a result of this. This is a result of this lawsuit that he filed while he was trying to sue the IRS. He came up with the bright idea, if this goes south, then I'm going to ask for an agreement that shields my family and our businesses, gives them immunity from the IRS scrutiny of tax returns they had already filed. This guy is saying, you forgive us now for whatever, pardon us for any past sins we may have committed, for any past crimes. Let me not say sins. Any past crimes we may have committed. The judge wrote that the release may offend the Justice Department rules requiring settlements to relate directly to the issues and parties in suit. Did you hear that? It's got to relate. So you come in there, if you're coming behind on this lawsuit, you're looking for some money, you got to be able to file something that's, you're looking for this money, you got to be able to prove that it's directly related to this suit. You got to have rules requiring settlements to relate directly to the issues and parties in this suit. The signature of the lawyer representing the United States on the settlement agreement was the Department of Justice's second in command, Stanley E. Woodward Jr., who had been a key defense attorney for Trump satraps accused of crimes. The separate nine-page agreement purporting to create the $1.8 billion fund was signed by Frank Bisignano. He's the chief executive officer of the IRS. Now, this is a newly created role not subjected to Senate confirmation. So only Blanche is the one who's hung out to dry here, as we said earlier. Only Blanche signed the addendum. The other people didn't put their names on it, but they're functionaries. They work in these places. Williams closed the case, but within hours, the terms of the deal surfaced for public scrutiny. The next day, the Justice Department released the addendum granting the $600 million kiss of immunity. That's how clever they were. They allowed the government to close the case. Then they announced the agreement. And even representatives were saying, whoa, wait a minute, what are you asking for in here? And they went back home, and they heard plenty from their constituents. And when they came back to Washington on Monday, the reports coming from journalists and people who were inside there, people who were also a part of the government, to speak on anonymity. Some of them saying, people who've been around there for 20 years or more, saying it's the toughest GOP meeting, toughest caucus meeting that they have ever had in the Republican Party, because they excoriated Todd Blanche. And they were very disappointed in Donald Trump. Now, I'm not sure that translates into votes against it, but some of them seem to have found their backbone. In their court papers, the former judges laid out the sequence of events, telling Judge Williams that it showed the fraudulent nature of this agreement. The judges said she did not have to rule immediately that settlement was invalid, suggesting that she could first commence an inquiry into whether the court was deceived. These are judges, 35 of them, writing another judge, advising her. If Judge Williams finds a fraud on the court, it's a big deal. The question is what she or Congress will do about it. See, that's the unknown. Trump reportedly will scrap the plan for the slush fund in the face of judicial and congressional opposition. So there you have it. That reporting comes from Politico. Another organization called Bloomberg. I don't want you to think I'm pulling this stuff out of fancy places. I'm not pulling this out of thin air. In Bloomberg, they are also reporting that the Trump plan faces GOP skepticism. So there are a lot of people on the Republican side now who are concerned about this as well. The looks as well as the facts of it there. Meanwhile, there are other things going on in the news. Trump does amend the tariff the tariffs on imported steel, aluminum, and copper, and there's a new head of intelligence. His name is William Pulte. He's the acting intelligence head. We are the source. I'm Paris. Good morning to you.
Now,
11.
I know
Yes, sir.
I know you're saying some good things, but can you turn the volume up, please?
Okay, buddy. All right.
Brian,
All right, buddy. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby Ray. Bye, bear. Bye, bear. Meanwhile, back here in the fight for the Senate in Texas, Paxton absolutely endangers Texas Senate seat as GOP nominee. That's what John Cornyn has said. Cornyn says State Attorney General Paxton will absolutely make it tougher for Republicans to defend the Texas Senate seat as the Republican nominee in the general election. He stands by his criticisms that he made during the primary. Asked by a reporter on Monday if Paxton endangers the seat, Cornyn replied, absolutely. That's heating up. We'll see where this goes. Many eyes will be on Paxton, John Thune, and Cassidy from Louisiana. All people the president had targeted, and others that he may have targeted. Cornyn said, I stand by everything I said during the whole campaign. Hello, caller, you're on.
Yes, sir, Paris. Thank you. Thank you for taking the call.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure to take your call, bro. First of all, how's your family, man?
Oh, man, they love me, man. Lil Ali will start band camp at Texas Southern University on the 26th of July.
Okay, very good.
His matriculation.
Oh, that is good. Isn't that something? We started on that journey vicariously. We went on it with him. Yeah, the audience went along with him. He had a support structure rooting for him. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, the audience prayed for him.
Yes.
Yeah, he received a scholarship and he'd be in the band. And he started that process physically. It started on the 26th. He got his classes and everything. He's ready to go.
Oh, that's good, man.
26th of July. So, yes, thank you very much, Paris. Paris, it's a strange thing if we don't live in reality. We must live in reality to try to equate the power. I'm just saying what it is, to try to equate the power of Donald Trump and the power of Barack Obama is like day and night. And this can be proven. It has been proven about 5 seconds ago when you read all that long information to us. You proved to us. Yeah, but and then I call you and say, well, why didn't President Obama fight for reparations? Yeah, okay, we can ask him that. And then ask him, why didn't he get his daughters, because he has 2 daughters, why didn't he get his daughters some tax breaks while the country is starving? Yeah, or why didn't he tell his daughters to sue the IRS for about $6 million, billion, or whatever you said, dollars? See, I don't think, Paris, due to the system of racism, white supremacy, I don't think we live in we being black people, I don't think we living in reality. It's tough to say. It's a terrible thing to say. And so when we're not living in reality, we don't qualify for mental health. It's no way President Barack Obama can get up there and say, I'm just going to automatically drop my lawsuit against whoever, the IRS, and then we're going to take that money and give that to black people. And I think he can do that. I'm lying to prove a point, or I'm mentally ill. And that's a serious charge. But I hear a lot of people say that, Paris. Mm-hmm. It's the strangest thing, especially when you take your time. This is not the first time you read stuff like that.
Right. And
an excellent reader you are. You pronounce all your words and syllables. We know it. Bobby Tyrone said, yeah, turn it up. I want to hear it, So, and then I follow that by saying why President Barack Obama didn't do it. Because he can't do it. Yes, he was the president. But he didn't have a lot of power. Dude, it appears that he does. But it is no way you could tell me he has much power as all the other presidents before.
no way you could tell me that, because he changed his suit from a dark suit to a tan suit, and they almost ran in my office.
They went ballistic on home with that one, didn't they? They did. They went ballistic. I mean, that was unbelievable.
Yeah. And then in closing, Paris, see, President Trump says that he wants to be a dictator and a king.
Yeah.
Just the other day.
Yeah.
Hey, man, your name is... Go ahead.
No, I want you to stay with me on this one, because you just made a point, and I want the audience. I want you guys. I hope you guys appreciate that as much as I do. When people got nothing to say, when they had nothing out of all of that, what's so communism, and he does this and he does that in police department. What you mad about? Okay, but all that's been done. The economy's calming down. It's moving. It's moving ahead now, and looks like we got insurance coverage for more people now. What y'all mad about? Well, the son of a bitch wore a tan suit. Who says that? A tan suit. A tan suit. Is that what you angry about? A tan suit. How could he? Okay, he's godless. He wore a tan suit. Come on, man. Come on, man. Man, as Obama would say, come on, man.
Come on, man. What are we talking about here, man? What, are you just trying to waste our time or trying to get some talking points or but I don't think it's just so-called black Republicans.
No,
I think on some level, yes. Yeah. Many of us are mentally ill. I'm not trying to cast aspersions. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm telling you, Paris, you can't go 3 blocks from your house, and either on the main drag, on the main street,
sure, either
direction, what I see in a black person standing up there dancing, mumbling to himself, or eating out the trash can. This society, due to the fact that I refuse to live in reality, this society has made me mentally sick. Mentally sick. And it's not just, I said black people, I just shouldn't say all non-white. That's Hispanic, everybody. That's that white.
Yeah.
To say that to make an inference that he ain't doing it right. Constitutional scholars, man, the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, proved to us that the Constitution don't mean nothing. Man, we need president. We need a scholar up here. Man, for what? we got Byron Ray Tyrone. Yeah, we don't need him that way. Yeah. The constitutional scholar can call, tell him to get in line with the rest of us.
Yes.
Because he can't say nothing no more different. He ain't gonna add to the insight on this thing. Man, look, this system is a system of racism, white supremacy. That's exactly what you're saying. That's all I got, Paz. I ain't gonna hold it
That's
up.
enough. I hear you.
That's enough.
You got it. That's it. You got just the right amount. Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. We are the source. I got to tell you, I'm enjoying it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Caller, you're on. Let's go with it.
Good morning, Paris.
Bo, what's good, buddy?
Man, I just love my radio brother.
Yes.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was thinking about Deborah yesterday when she was giving that illustration.
Yeah, Deborah Bates.
Yeah. Taking that stiff-necked jungle to the concert and got there and cut loose. Remind me of that. I'm trying to think of the blues singer out of San Antonio. Got my money, got my whiskey. I took
Mel Waiters. Yeah.
He couldn't get the woman out to play.
Hole in the wall. Come on, baby. Let's go to the hole in the wall.
Yeah,
it was 2 o'clock in the morning. She was still in there.
Still in there. Yeah, man. Oh, and my brother Ali. Woo!
Yes, sir.
Boy, Ali, I got to find me some Gatorade, man. I'm sweating. but Paris, I got questions for my brother Cup of Coffee and Barry and everybody really. Do y'all think the Republican Party of the day is the anti-black party? And the reason I asked that question, and I was listening to a cup of coffee this morning, saying, and I understand he's talking about the framework from which could come out of this commission, but they're not going to honor that same president with us. Just think about what's going on in the military right now, Paris.
Yeah.
When you got the Secretary of Defense blocking promotions for black people and women. So you think they're going to let us?
Yeah.
You think they're going to let us in
Yes, man.
on this fund? Wait a minute. Let's bag up to the black farmers.
Yes, yes.
Congress appropriated money. They got an administrator over there. You had white farmers sue and say, no, don't give it to them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, man, I want the money too, cup of coffee. Trust me, I do.
Yeah.
But this country has a history of not paying us. Hell, they don't even pay us right on the damn job.
Yeah. I mean, he's our guy, man. But here's the thing: you make it sound, they make Trump sound more reasonable than he is. He's always like he's gonna get money for everybody. No, he's not. He's already identified who the money is for.
It's for.
Yeah. The lawyer stuck some language in there, but that's because the lawyer was trying to get it past the court. If they could get acceptable language in there, they're going to do with that money exactly what they want to do with it. And there's nothing in Donald Trump's history that says he'll give money to people he doesn't care about.
But check this out, Paris. Check this out. I'm gonna be like my brother Spike, real cool. Now, he talking about bringing James Douglas on, right?
Yes.
Okay, Todd Blanche is the acting Attorney General for the United States of America, right?
Right.
They have an IRS General Counsel that's representing the IRS, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, who's the other opposing party in this case?
Come on. I'm sputtering now because nah.
Okay, so all these people involved in this put their name on a piece of paper are lawyers, right? And they're supposed to be the creme de la creme lawyers. Trump only know the best people, right?
Yes.
Okay. But you know why? I don't even think Trump is the one running away from this mess. It's the lawyers.
Yeah.
Because see, they know they license are on the line.
You're right. Right. They got the answers to like Rudy Giuliani. They got the answer to stuff. Okay. Yeah.
So if the court sanctions them, right?
Yes.
Say the court sanctions, they're gonna sanction the plaintiffs and the lawyers, right?
Right.
But who got more to lose? The lawyer.
The lawyer. Absolutely.
Because the Supreme Court said he got qualified immunity. He got absolute immunity, right?
Yes.
Use this expression, ladies, I'm sorry. Bend over. Bye, Paris.
Talk with you later, Bob. All right. We are the source. It's 25 after. Hello, caller. You're on.
Hello, Paris.
Yes, sir.
Ronald Ray, how you doing?
Hey, my man. How are you, barrister? How are you, attorney? How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just hear all this talk about president and his money.
Yes, sir.
And I just wanted to let you know how I stumbled into some money that President Trump caused.
What happened?
Well, I was, I watched the Financial News Network, dabbled in the stocks, and I saw this one stock named Dell, D-E-L-L is the symbol.
Yes.
And I saw it hit that jump $15, so I said, I just took a gamble. Let me buy this and see, what happened.
Yeah.
So I bought it at the end of close of one day, and then the next day, because they were going to report, the stock jumped $134. So, I said, "Wow!" So then I was watching CNN, Abby Phillips, and because the Financial Network didn't tell us this, but they were discussing this stock named Dell,
That's
and
right.
they said Donald Trump had bought the stock, and the government had awarded them a $9 billion contract.
Sure did. That's right. That's right. He was out pumping the stock. He's out praising the stock, and then he buys it. Okay.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Then they get this contract, and he knew that was coming, of course.
Yeah, he knew it was coming.
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, I stumbled into it. It wasn't no inside information I
had.
I just took a gamble on it.
Yeah.
But that's how they make money.
Yeah. That's right. That is true. And so you got to be alert to what these, to what these people say and listen carefully. You do have to listen carefully. You are right.
So that's all. But just people be careful because you can't. There's some losses on there. But I mean, that was just. I thought it was amazing. But the financial network didn't report that Trump had made this investment. But
right.
Abby Phillips had pulled it up.
Yeah. And we had a caller yesterday who has a story similar to yours, same story as yours, actually. Yeah, sure did. So you got to listen. How have you been, man?
Oh, I've been all right. Otherwise,
you sound good. You sound good, man. Always good to hear your voice, sir.
All right, you're welcome. That's all I had to say.
Well, that's good. That's enough. That's good enough. Okay. All right, buddy. Roy Brown, how are you, sir? We trust you're doing well. Black Sunshine, how are you doing? Anthony, how are you doing, sir? I am Paris. Good morning, everybody. Hello, caller. You're on.
Good morning, Stone Soul Picnic. Down, brother.
Surrey with the fringe on top. What's good?
I think the last caller hit on it when the difference between Barack Obama presidency and Trump's presidency is that the bottom line that Trump has, as long as he acting as in the president capacity, he can do whatever the hell he wants. Because he's going to say, I'm acting as the president.
Sure.
And he can sue anybody he wants to, but nobody can sue him.
Mm-hmm. And none of that changes meaningfully unless the Congress changes it. See,
right.
The courts can only keep up the guardrails. The courts are not allowed to write law. So these judges can stall him and hold him off, and they can rule. As a matter of fact, judges have said in some instances, when the Congress was trying to hide behind the judges, well, we would do this, but the courts have ruled against us. The courts come back and they say, hey, okay, yeah, I did, because this was counter to what you had written there. But if you want it to be what you say it is, then go back into session and vote for what you say it is, and then it'll be legal again, right? So that's the reality of how business is done here. The courts they're gonna challenge Trump in court on this, and he's gonna have to produce. And these are serious charges, and we can imagine, according to the way things should be operating, that he'll have some difficulty proving it or have to answer for it. But if it doesn't come out in his favor, Congress, he can prevail upon Congress to write a new law, getting exactly what he asked for. I'm saying that's the way our government works, and we have to understand that. And because a person knows that they can knock you off balance, they'll keep you off balance. That's why Steve Bannon said, this is what they were talking about when Steve Bannon said during his time as an advisor, you just flood the zone, put so much stuff out there. People won't have time to keep up with everything that you're doing, and they can't adjudicate each one. They can't keep up with that because the courts don't move that fast, and it backs up, and people get confused. And so what we want them to do is get tired and just say to hell with it, right? And then we'll find out after it happens. And after it happens, it's too late. That's what they want to do. Yeah.
And that's the exact same thing that's trickled down here to the governor down here in Texas. He's flooding the zone. He's doing the same playbook. Put so much stuff out here, keep them confused. So many elections you have, and keep the people, they don't know who they're voting for, when they're voting for, what district they in, who's in what district, when is early voting, what's the time of early voting? Where can you early vote?
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
Yeah, you flood the zone. How many executive orders has Trump did since he's been in his tenure here in his second term? So I used to keep up with it, but I haven't kept up with it.
You can't. Yeah, but look though, but that's just part of it. How many executive orders has he done? But how many shadow docket cases have the Supreme Court
ruled on?
They use that shadow docket court to issue opinions without reasons without reasoning on it. They don't have to explain anything. They fast track it, put it on a fast track, the rocket docket, put it on a fast track.
No opinions on shadow docket.
No opinion on shadow docket. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. They issue a ruling. I got it backwards. They issue what what their ruling was, and they don't account for it in their opinions. You're right.
Yeah, I think that was that a shadow docket on the Virginia redistricting
Yes,
plan?
it was. I think it was. I'm almost certain it was. It happened so quickly.
They didn't hear it. I don't think did they even hear it.
I don't know. I'll have to check.
Because the Virginia Supreme Court ruled that was unconstitutional for Virginia.
Yeah,
and I think
the people had voted on it, though. I think that's what you headed towards. The people had voted on it, so that
it was put out there for the people to vote on it.
Yep, and they said,
and the Supreme Court strikes it down, saying
Sure did.
These lawyers have laws is just basically interpretation in the way you present it to a judge, and if that judge agrees with your interpretation. And when you go on by trial by judge, he's going to side with you. And if you don't have a strong argument with them, then based on their political, they're not supposed to be political, but based on their determination of the laws, the way they interpret the law, right? They're going to rule what they'll believe in, what their interpretation is.
Here's an answer for the audience.
We talked about this a while back. The smaller courts that they hear the trials, right?
Yeah, the trials. The trials of fact.
They hear the evidence and everything, the facts in the case and everything. Right. And then they make their ruling. Then you go to appeals court, and they don't hear the same facts as you heard in the lower court.
No.
And whatever their opinion is, and then just like the Supreme Court, they don't hear the actual facts. They hear opinions, the determination of the law.
Yeah, the federal court is more about. I was just going to say the federal appeals are more about procedural issues in the court. Did this happen? Did they do that? Did the lawyers do that? And then, as you pointed out, the higher up it gets, the more you get removed from the facts of the case. So that's the truth of it. But here's what I wanted to say to you about the Virginia case, so we can share this with the audience so they'll know. The Supreme Court of Virginia voided the voter-approved April 21st, 26 redistricting referendum, ruling. Here was the ruling that we were talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happened. The General Assembly ruled that Supreme Court ruled that the General Assembly violated constitutional procedures by passing the amendment while early voting was already underway. Consequently, existing congressional districts will remain in place for the August 4th primary and November general elections. So the 4-3 court decision determined that an intervening election was missing, as lawmakers voted on the amendment well after the 2025 general election voting. And then the U.S. Supreme Court, the Democratic legislatures appealed the state court's ruling, but the Supreme Court declined to intervene and salvage the maps. Yeah.
So like you said, just flooding the zone, keep everybody confused. And the same thing with this, I'm suing my IRS, and just like you stated earlier, what damage, $10 billion worth of damage you had because your tax was released, and so he avoided that because he couldn't prove that he had that damage.
Right.
So it was aborted.
Yeah.
So hey, look, I'm acting as the president of the United States. I have a full authority to do what the hell I want to do. We're going to settle this. You go over there and sign it. Paris, you can put your signature on there, and then we're going to create this fund.
Yes, indeed.
That's
right.
I have the immunity to do it, and that's the way it is. Now, you had one caller. And sometimes, I like to go back to callers. And one caller said that we all come on here and we all think we know everything. I think he said something to that effect. Maybe I was proud. I don't think I know everything. I try to seek as much as I can. And I don't think any caller, maybe a couple, but of all the callers, the 10 million callers you got that call here, they know they don't know everything. They be trying to seek advice. They try to give advice.
Sure.
And just because you try to give advice, don't mean you know it.
Yeah,
it could be something that you have been around and say, hey, this what happened to me.
It's sharing.
Let me share this with you.
Let me share this with you. Yeah.
And I try to do that with my kids. My grown kids are in their 40s. And we just had a dinner earlier, and I was talking to my son. And we, I just try to share those things with him.
Absolutely.
And then just I'm sharing. I don't know everything. I learn stuff from you.
Well, I welcome the sharing. I welcome the sharing. I welcome the sharing, and that's just why we put the things, we put the things up. I'll comment on it. I'll comment on it later. Let me get your comments in though. I wanted to get yours.
And one other thing, and I tried to talk to him about transparency also.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my son, he shared something with me this weekend that I didn't even know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be do with a personal thing involving someone threatening him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that we know threatening him, but he didn't share that to me until the other day, and I was like, well, that's not going to happen, and I went off the way I go off,
Yes.
And Dad, don't worry about it's been handled, and stuff. And I told him, no, man, all I'm looking for is something that is just transparent and sharing when you say something's going on. Because if we don't do that with one another, then we're in the dark.
Mm-hmm. That's
We
right.
don't know what's happening. You
That's
come
right.
up missing one day, and I don't know what happened because you haven't shared things with me. What's going on in your life? What's all about transparency within that family group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I know I kind of bounced around there, but
No, that's okay. I'm bouncing with you. I can follow the bouncing ball.
Everything, Texas Mike. I don't know everything, Texas Mike.
You need
but I
not
do like to share information.
Listen. Let me tell you. You need not apologize for that. This is one of my words. Pedagogy, the science of knowledge, understanding it, is very important because pedagogy says that we learn different ways.
Yes. Absolutely.
This is the other thing we forget about knowledge is that this is how life has been sustained as long as it has. We tell tales for a reason. We have drama and stories for a reason because it is a way of passing information along without people having to experience everything. One human being in a lifetime can only have so many experiences, and you can't get. So you must, by reasoning, you must be able to talk to other people who have had.
Speak it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You must be able to to read. No, that's okay. It's good. You must be able to read or to listen to stories of other people who are going to pass along experiences of others. Some like the great tales of Odysseus or the writings from in places like Timbuktu, stories of great chieftains and empires. We don't learn that from going there, from being there and knowing that. We learn that from source documents. So we read.
Right.
So we read, and as we read, we found out over time, readers became better writers. And so people put things, the life of revered people, in books with some embellishments, of course. But we pass that information along. And so when we get stuck, we become cynical when we begin to think that people only do things for self-enrichment. Once you get that attitude, you will not read anything that is not consistent with your idea of how the world operates. If so,
you shut that out.
You shut that out because you filtered that out.
Be on somebody with a person on your same thought process.
Yes.
But you have, like you said, people learn different ways, right?
Yes.
So when somebody comes in with a different perspective on what the subject is, you still they come to a conclusion on it, and you may come up with the same conclusion, but they found a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So by listening, you've learned two ways to handle a situation.
Yes, and let me tell you, if you're not careful, your ego serves us well, but it is just ego is there to be a servant. If you let ego take over, it will have you thinking that if you've got information other than what it brought to you, or that differs from your point of view, then it must be wrong. It must not be good. You should be avoided. Now, I know that that's not what Texas Mike was saying. He was not saying that, but he's talking about a kind of what I call is his cynicism. That, oh no, listen, it's always been like this. It's going to be like this. But what that does not take into account is you can go back 50 years or 100 years and you say, we've been doing this all of this time. But here's one thing you do have to take into account, whether you like it or not. There were, let's just be kind and say there were 3 billion people, 63 billion at the time that the thing you were talking about happened. Same thing, and now you see it today, and you think it's the same thing. But here's the difference. It's years later, and now there's 100 billion people in the world. Yeah. So it's unlikely that those, and included in that 100-some billion, are going to be a new 63 billion who replaced the people who died earlier. So you got a whole new set of players. And this is how progress comes along, because people have imaginations. And we just don't imagine that if a project hasn't been signed in our lifetime, then it'll never be solved. So we imagine that the problems that we have here, because we are seeing versions of them now, we think that they are the same as the original versions, but they aren't, because somewhere during those intervening years, people were born who attacked that same problem and at least shifted it to some degree. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yeah.
So in other words, what you're saying, the more things change,
they stay, or at least appear similar. But the trick is, because you're going to always, well, I guess another way to say it is this. Listen, we do this because it's the only game in town. You're born. And what are you going to do? And we just all keep repeating this cycle. We come here, we go to our graves, and in between we do stuff. we do stuff, right? I mean, some will try to approve and some won't. That's the way too, right? But somebody will always, everything looks the same, but you can find out it was so much worse. One time there used to be nothing, and I think about that. Now we argue about the death penalty, right? And it's been going on since my lifetime. But then you go back, into antiquity, and you see writings like Hammurabi's Code, and you read things like an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, right? Today, we frown upon that. But back then, that was revolutionary. And then just the fact that you shouldn't kill the whole family was revolutionary. You can read it in sacred writings, how these clans went up against one another, and you offended somebody's 18th cousin, and they killed everybody, and sometimes the animals, okay? That didn't have anything to do with it, right?
Not witness, but you if you read or you read that type of information.
Sure. Yeah. Right. So, but Hammurabi comes along with a code and says, "Look, I want this to be a just society. I want it to be cool." So, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That meant stop all of this craziness. See, that was their idea of justice. Today, we wouldn't treat that as necessarily justice that was embraced by our judicial system so much, although it happens. But the fact of the matter is, then the prophet, the teacher, the rabbi, known as Jesus, and said, "No, wait, we don't do any of that. Just turn the other cheek." Now you talk about radical. That was truly radical. All right, how about let's take no revenge? Right?
That's the teaching as the teaching of Christ.
Well, yeah. So what I'm saying is, it's not that these things are all. It's because some people were married to the concept of eye for an eye, and then some people were married to the concept, oh no, that doesn't go enough because their memories are longer. I remember when he did this 10 years ago, because they were barely living past 25, so they were ready to go to war about anything, right? And my point is that when we say things ain't nothing changed, things really have changed. It's just that some of them just still look as bad as they were. But let's be honest. We have to say, if you speak to some athletes and some other people, there's a slavery. People have a way of using that word now. But nothing compares to the chattel slavery that our people went through here when we first came to this land, and we ought to be very clear about that. So when I hear the millionaires talk about slavery, I know they're speaking metaphorically, but some of them will tell you, "Oh no, this is just like slavery. I can't own," and I get what they mean, but no, slavery was brutal. Slavery was brutal. It doesn't mean we shouldn't fight against.
And that's lessons that we've learned from the past because we've heard it. Trickle down, like for instance,
yes.
My uncle tell me stuff that his mother told him, that my grandmother, her mother told them. It trickled down and then came up into learn what's going to help. But if you're not transparent with it, you're not communicating it to the next.
And this is a place where we can talk about it.
You won't learn it. It'll stop.
And listen, and I'm telling you,
stop.
Man, let me tell you something. When I got Roy Brown or I got Scurry on the line or I got some of these other, I got people who text me like Joan Edwards, right, or Annie Wright, and I get their voices in too, or Pretty Black. I got men and women out there who pass on information. And, they're all valued here. They're all valued here. They truly are. And I think it helps. And I think it helps everybody. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
And they don't know everything. They're just sharing.
Right. They're sharing.
Sharing their information.
Yeah, sure.
Paris, I'm saying one thing. The one thing we need to put you in, you need to be an advocate for teachers so they can get their raise. Because the teachers, the thing about it, everything we've learned from people that taught us, and then the educators are
I love them absolutely.
Plant from that seed.
Yes,
and I got a family full of educators, and
I love them. I love you.
The highest ones, and he's definitely always trying to educate me. And I'm 67 years old, and he's 80, and he's still telling me stuff.
I love it.
Trying to make me understand stuff.
That's
not because he knows everything.
No, because he shares. That's all. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And the interesting thing about sharing is you don't share it so somebody else can lock it in and just swallow it up. You share it, and they get a chance to tell you what they think. And this is how ideas are improved upon as well, or thoughts are improved upon. 10 minutes before the hour of noon. Hello, caller, you're on.
Man, I couldn't resist.
Okay, good. Come on.
Listen, I think it's a different skill, Paris. I was thinking about the conversation since I called.
Sure.
I think it's a different skill between analysis of the past and some of the things I consider, and that's talking about the present and forecasting the future.
Yes.
That's a different skill. I mean, So I'm out there watching the birds fly, and I'm saying, man, I believe they thought the Wright brothers were crazy, right? You know, you got Einstein, you got Franklin out there flying a kite, talking about I'm gonna capture,
Yes.
a lightning bolt, right?
Yes.
So, I just come back to the idea that people should not hate the player; they should hate the game.
What do you think about this? What do you think about? Don't hate the player, change the game.
Yeah, and I'm advocating that by sometimes you may have to become an ally.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is the unfortunate thing that, and that's why I brought up the idea about, people that slapped in the mouth by their mom or their daddy when they were growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and today the biggest problem they have is Donald Trump is a racist, as if he's the only racist that walks the planet of the earth. I know it's. As I mentioned before, it's sacrilegious, suggest that people find a way to sit down at the table and try to gain some advantage, if any is possible.
Mm-hmm.
But to reject the idea of sitting at the table outright, I don't see that as the proper approach.
I think what we're confusing here is that I want to state it this way. I think it depends upon who you think is aggrieved. Now, and I don't even want the word. I don't like using the word. It depends upon this. No, I think let's go back to this part. You say people were attacked by their mother, and the way that sounds, the way that comes out, and this is to me, but I can imagine other people would feel that way, that these people have greater, you tied that, the pain that they have in being brought up with the assault on, I guess was what you would call it, the assault on Donald Trump. I don't see any real distinction between the two in their minds, I would think, because it's the same theme. People who've been abused might know what abuse looks like, and so they may see Donald Trump as being abusive towards them. And I'm not making light of it either. I'm trying to just tie the two together based on the comments that you're offering, because you talk about somebody being, the way you're presenting it to me is you make it sound like anybody who's not everybody, but you make it sound like if people are creating, his critics primarily come from people who are maladjusted or dysfunctional themselves. See, that's the way that statement sounds to me. You were the way you set that up is by saying, these people who've been abused, then they come forward to criticize Trump, and it's not like they haven't seen worse in their lives, and in fact, maybe they have. But what about that? What about my mom smacking me in my face should keep me from recognizing when somebody else is being abusive or cheating, should preclude me from going after Donald Trump? Can you explain to me?
That's where we part ways, Ferris,
Mm-hmm.
because I can agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm not trying to say these ideas are separated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that you have to go beyond the trauma, okay, and think and put, as it says in the Bible, put on the helmet of salvation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to start thinking,
Mm-hmm.
okay, to continue, and that, and you may not can separate it.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying
certain people in leadership,
Mm-hmm.
you have to have the ability to separate.
But
Right.
I don't want to move too far from this idea, because the two things that you have attached together are, it's very subtle that if somebody's attacking Donald Trump, they've got bigger problems. What about, because your positioning of this assumes that the people have had some kind of, to use your word, trauma. That there, in other words, that there must be some kind of dysfunction that's really driving them. It's never really what they say. They are just attacking Donald Trump because they've got some personal stuff, and Donald Trump doesn't have anything to do with it. And if you assume that, then you can never get to dealing with the problem.
No. I'm saying is okay. That could be true in your mind, what you just said, and all that about Trump. I'm saying withstanding that. I'm saying that withstanding that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you move in a direction, or do you keep reliving that?
You moving? No. You don't even bring it up. You don't even bring it up. But what it does is, if it energizes you to correct a wrong, because whether or not you've been slapped in the mouth has no place in the conversation. What are you attacking him on now? What you do is you go, because at the end, we ought to be talking about who you're going to vote for, how's your vote going. Well, how my vote's going depends upon what policy is out there. Can I live under the politician who's running under the policies today? Or is someone else promising me something else and I've not seen them follow through? Or am I likely to get something else? But the key question is, what are the people who are in office doing now? What do I want to do? I want to wake up tomorrow with the same ills that I've got today, and that's what I think voting should be placed on. Make your decision based on that.
We can agree on that. I brought up the politicians sitting down. I used the example at the table with Trump. These people in charge. I mean, you can holler at the moon till it goes up and come down again.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's what people are saying.
They are in charge.
No. But they don't have to be in charge. That's not a fact of nature. But it's not implacable. It's not unchangeable. And
I'm not trying to say it now. I'm saying currently, though. Let me use the word currently. That makes a difference.
And currently, because it changes every 2 and every 4 years. And the way to get the person out that you don't want in power is to get the people in who you do want in power. So, and you don't have to make an agreement. Sometimes you can get there by making alliances, and sometimes they're just two people who are so fundamentally apart, or two schools of thought who's so far apart that they are better off not being together and fighting for what they want.
I wouldn't. That's not representation.
Well,
I mean, inside that statement is not what I want from a representative.
Well, no.
To say that we because of whatever you put in the blank, that we're beyond a conversation.
So you would have been all right with the Democrats. You would have been all right with the Democrats getting Merrick Garland for Supreme Court justice. They shouldn't have blocked that. They could have come to some kind of agreement.
Once again, I'm arguing the future, and
I'm arguing the future. I'm arguing what you set up. You said you wouldn't necessarily want people. What did you say? Just ceding to the other side.
To try to, if possible, be in negotiation, right?
Yeah.
If possible, to be in negotiation.
Yes.
Isn't this what it's about?
Well, yes, and if the words that you use are correct, if possible, there are plenty of people who say, well, we want to sit down. Sometimes you do pre-negotiations. Let's see how far we are apart. And then if the negotiating party says, no, well, this is what we are going to do. We're witnessing this now in the Iran war. Sometimes there are people you just can't sit with. But in our domestic politics, there's sometimes you want people in the way to block the party that is in power. There's nothing that says the party in power has the right to get everything it wants.
Yeah, but that ain't working.
But sometimes it's designed not to work. Thank God it ain't working. I thank God it ain't working.
I'm saying the blocking don't appear to me to be working that effectively.
Well, they are because I'm looking at a slush fund that just got stopped. I'm looking at a lot of things that got stopped that would be catastrophe. catastrophic. Catastrophic. Okay, but look, but check this out. I'm looking at the tariffs that had to be undone by the court. We would have been better off if people would have not agreed to those things. And you know what? They didn't really. They didn't really.
Yeah, and that's my point.
Yeah,
I mean, you're making my point.
Well,
they went through anyway.
No, you understand they're being repealed, don't you?
Yeah. You're trying to unwind something that's already been done.
But look, it went through illegally. That's the important thing. It went through illegally. The court said, no, you guys got together amongst yourselves. What about the taxpayers? You guys are screwing over people. You got to have an adversary. You can't have people. Everybody's on the same page.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Sure. But again, Trump has better lawyers.
Trump does not have better lawyers. Where do you get this stuff from? Wait. 10,000 lawyers, the best and the brightest, have walked out of the Justice Department. Are you aware of this?
How many left?
10,000. 10,000. I don't know, but you know what we do know?
Yeah,
according to reporting. Wait a minute, hold on.
And you made that point about the judges, right?
No. Hold on. Let me answer you a question, because it's fair. There are people out there who might be listening about this, and it's a fair question, because I can say something fantastic, and it's the people go ooh until you dig down like you just did. But that's a fair statement. What about the ones who are left? Well, according to reports, these people were the kinds of candidates who had just finished graduate school, and they were offering to do work. They wanted to get into government work because it was so prestigious, and they could write their tickets to other law companies. But in this Department of Justice, these young lawyers have found it so onerous, so political, that they have said they are going to work now. Many of these people who left, who were considered, top of their class, and they were in all the right societies, are now donating their services to nonprofits.
That's good. Yeah.
That's the quality of people. So that means we got a Justice Department who's poorly functioning. And so that's why we're seeing some of the craziness that we're seeing. And you watch, time is telling.
You made the point that some of the Republican congressmen and senators are starting to back away from Trump on this weaponization fund.
Yes.
Right. I think you gave a number like you just did about the attorneys in the DOJ.
Yes.
And I'm saying, and it raised quickly in my mind, well, how many are left? How many did not take that side? How many are not speaking against it?
The ones who can't get the better work. That's always the people who leave.
No.
The people who leave generally, in a case like this, the people who leave are the people who have options, choices. Look at the people now who are functioning on behalf of. Look at that clown show that we just saw with Pam Bondi, and look at Todd Blanche, who has otherwise been accepted and regaled as a bright attorney, and now look at what's happening to him.
No, Paris, I'll leave you, but I'm talking about the Congress people. You made a point that it was a certain amount of Congress people now pushing back on Trump's weaponization fund.
Yes.
And I'm saying, to me, it didn't sound like 100%. It sounded like a small percentage of the people in Congress and a small percentage of the people in the Senate.
Well, here's what a small percentage feels like in Congress. Sometimes it ain't but two people, enough to keep a bill from passing. That's enough.
Yeah, I know, but
that's enough. That's enough.
The way you frame it, though, you would think they would all be pushing back.
I didn't say all. I said I did not say all, did I?
I know you did, but that's how you framed it.
No, I said he's getting
it's
pushback.
So egregious, it's so egregious. My point is, if it's so egregious, well, why do you have such a small amount of people pushing back on it?
Because you know what they do? They only need enough to stop the legislation. Those people who don't have to go out generally don't, but they've never seen nothing like this before against Trump. So, I mean, that's just the reality. I can't, that's the reality.
We'll keep moving forward, Pat.
Yes, sir, we will. You better believe it. Hello, caller, you're on.
Hey, Paris.
Yes, sir.
I enjoy the dialogue between Coffee and you.
Yeah, me too.
It fills my voice for laughter. Look, and I'm a day late, so I apologize. Look, first of all, if anyone, have you ever heard of anyone, or if anyone ever dares to say the following about my guy, King Trump, I'll put on my boxing glove any time, any day. Have you ever heard anybody say Donald Trump is politically correct and a girly man? You hear me, Coffee? Have you ever heard that, Paris? Anybody say that about my guy? It made him laugh. Come on, it's funny, Coffee. You brought up, I'm a late Coffee, but oh god, no.
Yeah.
And what's the a preferable term? Girly man. What is it? Metrosexual. Here we go.
Yeah,
I'm messing with you,
right.
Coffee. Okay. I love play on words, but no, you've had a good show. You go out and get yourself another Coke, Paris.
My man, brother, you know what to do. You know what to do. All right, man.
And you know, I know into that. You know.
Okay,
Take
buddy.
care, man.
Okay. Hey, oh yeah, wait. Did Rubio testify? Okay, didn't know. But listen, Coffee, my man, he is this, and you can check other sources because right now this comes from NBC News. I'm about to share with you. Let's see. Trump administration signaled Monday it is backing off on creating a $1.8 billion fund announced by the Justice Department. But there's another story in here I want to get to, but I'm going to give you this one. This will hold you until I can find this detailed meeting that I'm looking for. That could send money to allies of President Donald Trump, deemed to be victims of lawfare and weaponization. Now, that's the language in the bill. I want you guys to know that when you hear us talking about this bill. Trump deems his allies people to be victims of lawfare and weaponization. I don't see any room for inclusion in that by talking about reparations. This is very clear what he's saying. People deemed to be victims of lawfare. That term wasn't even applicable back in the day. Victims of lawfare and weaponization. That's who Trump wants this fund to pay out, all right? And nothing in there sounds like about black people to me. Now, this comes after a fierce and rare backlash from Senate Republicans who threatened to team up with Democrats to block the fund. About half the Republican conference appeared ready to vote with Democrats to restrict or kill it. That's what Senator Ted Cruz said last week. That's Ted Cruz. And the writers here, the news writers, says it comes after fierce and rare backlash. I don't know who they're quoting on that, but they're talking about Senate Republicans. In a statement, the Justice Department cited a federal judge's ruling Friday that blocked the fund on a temporary basis, saying it disagrees strongly but will abide by the court's ruling. The judge had issued an order that, I'm going back over this ground for you, that only temporarily blocked the Justice Department from taking any further action on the fund until the court more fully assesses both parties' arguments. It did not permanently block the fund. And a hearing has been set for June 12th, and we'll find out what happens to that then. Trump, in a phone conversation with ABC Monday, said, "We are subject to the courts." At this moment, that's what it is, and that just means what it says. He says if a court doesn't allow it, and right now a court has it held up, what can you do? A January 6th prosecutor who was fired by the Trump administration and others sued last month to challenge the fund in the Eastern District of Virginia. The head of the group that filed the suit, Sky Perryman, president and CEO of Democracy Forward, said Monday that it would be a major victory if the Trump administration was abandoning its illegal slush fund, but that the plaintiffs would continue challenging it for the time being. And incidentally, that's where some of these younger people went, to organizations like Democracy Forward. Think about that that group of people. And there's another note I took this morning I got to share with you. Let me see if I can put it up. Pull it up here for you. I wrote it down. I figured I would need it today. And let's see. Democracy, yeah, here's Democracy Defenders in Action. That's a guy by the name of Norm Eisen. He has been hell on wheels all over these different groups that have come up to find ways to get money to courts. They've been winning in court, incidentally, you know. They have been, and they've got a new plan. Their new plan is to attack at the state court level. They're going to make some moves at federal court, but they are going to start attacking at the state court level, where they hope to get more governors. We'll see how that works out for them. But some of these lawyers, the ones that left, can make the difference. When your A team leaves, by definition, you've got the B or the C team out there. And you can see it in court. They're laughing at these people in court. Look at how desperate they are to attack people. People, look at how desperate they are to go to court and bring people in without the proper certification, with lousy paperwork. The judges are pulling them off cases, saying this person was appointed illegally, because they're not doing law. At the lower levels, you will find employees who are just happy to be working, so they'll do whatever the boss says do. That's this legal department over there right now. Prestigious players have already had their names ruined, some of them. They can't afford to go back. So, yeah, he's running. In other words, a bad boss can run off good people. How about that? A bad boss can run off good people, and once that happens, it doesn't matter who's left. Because even those who are good and loyal, and they find out they're working with other people who can't, or they don't have the materials or the tools, but what can they do? Good people leave because they're competent, and they quit. They quit, and they ring the alarm on the way out. This government is right before our eyes, showing its incompetence, its corruption, and its chaos. And I may as well throw in collusion while I'm there. And that's it. That's the state. That's our political state. So all of the other stuff about Donald Trump's personality, his son's personality, none of that means anything. I said, guys, to you when the preliminary, just before the preliminary races were run, that I was backing off. I told you last year. I'm trying to talk about where the company is right now, where the country is. I'm not talking about politics and whether Trump steals or whatever that is. It is a signal about his personality. But can we dump another $1 billion a day into Iran? Can we afford that? Can we afford having college graduates coming out of school with no jobs there, even as inflation goes upward? I want you to think about the politicians who promised us that it would be like the Isley Brothers, smooth sailing, baby, smooth sailing. We are not getting that. We are not getting that. That's the focus. Now, I understand there are people who'd love to have me in a conversation about the relative merits of Donald Trump as opposed to the behavior of the candidates individually and who's there. I'm not playing that game right now. I'm telling you, our military is disenchanted from what we're seeing and hearing. At least it's being reported. And I have more reason to believe the press than to disbelieve them. Hell, we just saw, what is my man's name? Jonathan Lemire. Jonathan Lemire is the name I want to think of. And he was doing some reporting the other day, and I heard him say, Donald Trump's getting bored with the war. He was on a panel. And that caught my attention, and it it caught the attention of some of the other people on the panel, and they kind of had a chuckle about it. Because how often do you hear, oh, the president is bored of this war? I never heard that before in my lifetime concerning a serious incident. But they chuckled and moved on. And Jonathan Lemire, from what I've been able to see of him over the past 5 years or more, he's a pretty good reporter. Does a good job, I think. Well, wouldn't you know it? The president came out himself and said he's getting bored with the war. Who says that? Donald Trump. Donald Trump said, this president says that. People, here we are, diverting money to pay for a war that's going on. And he says he's bored with the war that he started. And this was from the guy who said he was getting rid of the forever wars. Yeah, people need to be reminded of those things. They certainly do. Let me give you a taste of what was written. And this was I think this came up before 3 weeks ago. Yeah. This goes back to May 8th. President Trump really wants the war with Iran to end. He has declared victory many times, including about 3 weeks ago when Iran briefly reopened the Strait of Hormuz. He has repeatedly extended his ceasefire deadlines instead of following through on his sometimes apocalyptic threats to resume hostilities. This week, his administration abruptly abandoned an effort to escort ships through the strait, in part because of a fear that it could provoke violent, escalating confrontations. Then he writes this: Trump is tired of the war, which has proved far more difficult and lasted far longer than he had expected. His party is warily watching rising gas prices and falling poll numbers. He doesn't want to be bogged down in a Middle East conflict like some of his predecessors were. He doesn't want to upend his high-stakes summit next week in China. Now remember, this is written 3 weeks ago. He is ready to move on. But Iran, it seems, does not want the war to come to a close, or at least not with any sort of outcome that could be acceptable to American negotiators. Trump is now in a bind. The president, 5 aides, and outside advisors told me is convinced that he can sell any sort of agreement as a win. This was what the 5 aides were saying about he and his outside advisors told Jonathan Lemire. But at least for now, the man who wrote the art of the deal can't even get Iran to the negotiating table. Now that was 3 months ago. Come 17 hours ago, here's the reporting that we had on June 1st. Trump says he's found Iran negotiations boring after telling Americans to stop chirping about the war. President Donald Trump lashed out at Democrats and various seemingly unpatriotic Republicans for chirping, with criticism of his Iran war as his administration seeks a deal 3 months into the conflict. Trump also said in an interview with CNBC on Monday, June 1st, that negotiations with Iran were starting to get very boring. That's a direct quote. He claimed Americans are willing to pay a little bit more for gas once you explain that this is all about Iran having a nuclear weapon. So there you have it. The president, in his own words, saying it's starting to get a little bit boring. The speculation is that he's boxed himself into a corner. And so, yes, there are Republicans who spoke loudly in that Senate caucus meeting that they had from the news reports. And don't just You want to find this stuff out. You can't listen to just 2 or 3 or 4 disembodied voices on the phone or on your broadcast device. You can go online, see some of this stuff for yourself. These are not small things. They are robbing our coffers, ladies and gentlemen. And they are doing these things, building cage matches for fighting and reflecting pools and Triumph arcs with this name on it. And while they're telling you your kids shouldn't have SNAP money, your kids shouldn't have health care. I just heard a report today, I think 17th, Texas is 17th on the list for kids, for uninsured children over the age of 6 years old. Because we don't have the money for it. And we're spending $20-some billion a day. All of that is not about Trump's personality. This is about where are you going to get money to live from day to day? What's going to bring up your wages? These are real concerns. So all of the cheerleading in the world doesn't change that. And why would I want a political party? That's why the Democrats actually fell from grace with some of those who were in the party. Not all of those people who left the Democratic Party went because they were angry with the Democrats about being lousy. Some were angry that the Democrats weren't doing enough to stop Donald Trump. They wanted more of that. Incidentally, for the same reasons that the Republicans get angry with the Republicans who don't push back harder against Joe Biden. They wanted that to happen. Why are you guys allowing judges to stop you from doing what we want you to do? Just do it. So you see it's the way that the system was created. It's called an adversarial system for a reason. You want to have an adversary so that the public can hear 2 points of view. And somewhere you hope to find the truth along the way, and either side, both sides being able to compromise on some areas. It just depends upon what you're compromising for people. That's been the nature of democratic government here, a multifaceted, multiracial. Now, that's what we aspire to, democratic government. So yeah, there's supposed to be some pushback. And again, in the Republican Party right now, the surprise has been that Donald Trump backed out of pushing forward for the slush fund. Not because of the Democrats, I assure you. He's got the numbers. He could pass the slush fund. They could do it. Maybe, and they still might. But this thing was that Donald Trump pushed for this bill to go before the Republicans. And he had members back out, whoa, I ain't touching this one. And it caught on, it spread. If it were just a few Republicans, he would have steamrolled them. But it didn't, because it turns out the leader of the Republicans said this is a bridge too far. Now, we'll see what happens later. Of course, Donald Trump being Donald Trump, he will try to do it again. I expect there's money on the table. Yeah, so sometimes I'm not urging the people on my side to compromise all the time. Particularly if I know I'm going to be given away in the process. I'm a part of the bargaining chip. People are saying to the Democrats, don't you dare bargain with my dignity. You get votes from us. Don't you dare bargain away our advantages as you may have in the past. Now, you're going to have to go to the table. You get something for your other constituents, you're going to have to get something for us. And you're going to have to stand on it. So there you have it. There you have it. It's been a great Tuesday. I've enjoyed being here with you, enjoyed drilling down with you, reminding you that we've got tomorrow night. We've got Talking Politics with Friends, hosted by Stevens Orozco. Hey, my man, and his co-host, Dr. Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Trevino Rodriguez. Yes, yes, close, right? Yeah, and they're going to be talking politics, and it's going to be. Let me give you a taste of what it is, so you know what you'll be listening to. Not the kind of things that I'm doing here this morning. I like drilling down too, I do, but I like other topics as well, because I think I like talking about it from what's going to affect your kitchen table and the civics process, how you should be involved. So let me play. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this closing before I go to that. And it's from the Rachel Maddow show. It's an excerpt. It's not the actual closing of the show. But she talks about something I think that is important here, and I want to bring it up to you. And I'm thinking it's maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Of a concert that he had tried to plan in Washington for the 250th?
She's speaking about Donald Trump
after,
and the
again,
250th anniversary. I want to see if I can get past that. Maybe it's Philadelphia. Okay, let's see.
Not their half taken down mess, thanks to Donald Trump. And so the good people of Philadelphia have done exactly what you would expect them to do. They have decided to take matters into their own hands and fix this themselves. The people of Philadelphia decided, yes, they're going to sue, and yes, they're going to hope that the courts do the right thing. Stick a pin in that, come back to that in a moment. But in the meantime, while they're waiting for this thing to get through the courts, if the Trump administration is going to put those words back up, if they're not going to put that history back up, then the people of Philadelphia...
All right, now this is what this is. This is good, all right? This is good. This is about a slavery, a museum, African-American museum. And it was a project on slavery. And Donald Trump his administration has gone to take down things that put America in a bad light, I think was the language that he used in issuing these executive orders. Some of you may recall. If they talk about black officers, he even had information relative to the Tuskegee Airmen changed, and the Tuskegee Airmen from Alabama and other black notables removed or changed or had something done for it. And in Philadelphia, they took down the museum over there. I think it's at the site of the original White House, which was one time in Philadelphia. And they took down some of the information regarding slavery here in America. And they had not put it back up. The court, it was the people in Philadelphia went to court to sue it, to sue. Now this is the president, right? But he wants to, I'm going to use the term whitewash. He wants to omit much of our history. That is the history of black people and their contributions to this struggle. And he doesn't want it, his contributions to this republic. And he doesn't want it noted in our public records, apparently. So Rachel Maddow is speaking on these lawsuits and where they are and how the people in Philadelphia are responding to it. So let's go.
Philadelphia will put the words back themselves. And so right now, sometimes at the president's house in Philly, that means a handmade sign posted up where a real one used to be. Sometimes it means reading the words from those signs aloud yourself. Here, for example, was the official Life Under Slavery panel on its way to the truck to be taken away. But here's the same content from that panel being read aloud a couple of weeks ago for all comers, for anybody coming by to see it, by a volunteer named Sherry Utane.
Philadelphia's enslaved people observed firsthand how free African descents moved about the city. The city was a hub of several escape routes for many seeking freedom. Here, those seeking their freedom often found sympathetic assistance despite the threat of punishment for helping them.
Yeah, what are you doing for the country's 250th? In Philly, these folks have been reading this stuff. They have been volunteering as citizen docents to read out loud the history that Trump stole so it can't be taken away from the site where that history happened. Day after day, they show up, they stand by the walls of the president's house, they give out flyers with the text of those panels that were taken down. They have folders of the text that the president removed. They have carefully saved the history of this place where George Washington and the people he enslaved lived, and where school kids now line up to see the Liberty Bell, and they keep that history alive. Volunteers take turns signing up for a shift to read the text out loud from the disappeared panels. The group doing it is newly formed. They're called Old City Remembers. The founder of the group tells us he got the idea right after the Trump administration destroyed the exhibit. His name is Matt Hall. He says when he found out what they did, he thought, we've got to do something. And he thought the simplest and most sustainable response was to capture the history they had taken down and just read it aloud for people who came to the site. So they read it aloud. Old City Remembers is still onboarding volunteers in Philly. So far, about 150 people have completed their training. 50 people have signed up already for one of these reading shifts. With tourist season upon us now and the 250th coming fast, Old City Remembers is hoping more people will sign up. oldcityremembers.com if you're curious. But I said to stick a pin in what's going on with the courts. Tomorrow afternoon at 2:30 p.m., the federal appeals court that sits in Philly is going to hear the case on this. They're going to hear the appeal on whether the slavery exhibit from the president's house in Philadelphia has to be put back up or not. We understand that lots of people in Philadelphia are planning on going in person to hear those court arguments tomorrow. They've had to move the arguments to the big ceremonial courtroom at the federal courthouse on Market Street in Philly. People are going to rally outside ahead of the hearing, and then the hearing starts at 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. They are expecting a packed house.
All right, yeah, that'll be worth keeping an eye on, certainly. So that's this afternoon. So it's 1:30, 2:30, an hour from now. Yeah, a couple of hours from now. There, Philly's on EST, Eastern Standard Time. So here was the thing. The People's Exhibit was taken down. Remember, this administration has removed black generals, taking them out of position, blacks and women, and Latino, taking them out of positions to which they had been promoted. And by many reports, had done well, these are people with 20, 30 years of service. And ironically, incompetence seems to be the order of the day. So it's wild to hear these people talk about meritocracies when things seem to be done on the basis of who you know. So these panels, she's talking about written, panels of siding, like the frame, so like large billboards, frames that you put up on a historic display with data on, with information on it. Well, Lydia's in in Philadelphia area. I wonder if she's going to read for maybe we'll see her on TV reading the other day. I think it's a good idea that this is how critical this is. This is what we're talking about when I say to you why we are here on the air. Citizens can fight back. They can do something. But not by being co-opted by the very people who seem to erase, who seem hell-bent on erasing you anyway. It's like I hear Brother Derek Jabril say, and I heard others say, I think it was Brother Chris talk sometimes about, how you expect Malcolm X said it, you expect your enemy to teach your children? People who don't want you to know about yourself, damn so are not amenable to having others find out what you've done. And so places like this is why I can enjoy being here. I can say I at least used my voice to fill a vacuum where people were not getting total information. Sure, in the scheme of things, it can even rightly be deemed weak and ineffectual. I get it. But where there are other voices and they are lifting other minds to a level of curiosity, and other voices open up to be heard through artistry, through song, through civic expression, that adds power to that. And this is why it's great that these people, you think about that, there are people, citizens going out there to read the words that the president had taken down. I think these people know who their friends are. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Hey, Paris.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking about the words that got taken down.
Yes, sir.
And I know Dr. Greg Carr was on the forefront of, this protest of them putting them signs back up, too.
Okay.
But, I'm thinking about this, and like you just illustrated, Admiral Hosty and other people like that in those top military positions being moved out from those positions.
Right.
And the words being taken down, your history being taken down, and then you got somebody think that they're going to give us reparations?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Who's doing this?
Right.
Yeah. So,
right.
I just, for the life of me, I'm gonna try to visit that. I'm gonna be.
You got to read the room. You got to read the room sometimes to see who you're actually dealing with. You gotta see who you're actually dealing with. And the people who are taking away our history, you cannot applaud that. I just don't applaud it. And, I am in the right business for that. My business is to speak up on that. It would be a shame for me, morally, from my standpoint. I wouldn't be living out the person I want to be. I'm satisfied with being a distant voice. I'm just satisfied to be. I'm blessed to be a voice, because it's about getting information out there. And at the end of the day, when you look on your life and you say, "Well, I spent it doing this useful thing," and how do you count the value of your life? By what you value. How much did you do of what you value? And was it intended to?
We're going to have to teach our own history from now on going forward.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, my brother. And I think that's worthy. That's noble. To bring information. Hey, look, everybody doesn't get a Grammy. People go on and sing and say anyway. And you have to be comfortable with the fact that not all that you do will be applauded by everyone. But were you doing the thing that you thought you could make a contribution doing? That's the question. And to what extent did you do it? See, that's important. I want to hear these voices out there. I want to hear Akua Fayette. I want to hear about the artistry. I want to hear about the griots. I want to hear about the old grandmothers and grandfathers and those families, those nuclear family units that lived beyond before some of this disruption that we have, before the crack epidemic, what they were doing during that time. And I want to see a restoration of some of that kind of thinking. When our younger people can move without feeling they have to be gangsters or thugs or threatening somebody, or when they can get enough clarity about how civilization functions to realize they can't take over a suburb of a city. You call it their town, calling these places your sections, like you supply light and electricity and water for people. That's why we have municipal governments. When our young people can stop deluding themselves by claiming to own a part of a city and not raise one tax, staying in parents' homes, maybe not even going to any job, and banding together and stealing from their neighbors or terrorizing their neighbors, and bringing in harmful substances and drugs, and thereby continuing the cycle. And it's all in the hope of getting information out that will help change people. And I'll tell you, I am not so cynical as to believe that people don't get moved. I watch young people develop. Many of you know this, lots of you more than I do. Anthony Collier, and I remember Anthony Collier came over, and we were over at KCOH in our other location, and he came over. Jeff Boney was the station manager at that time. I was the program director, and I think Morris Parsons was over there. I'm not certain, but we brought in those young people, and we had a show on Saturdays that had Anthony and I forget the young Mr. Tim Woods, I think was one of the name, and there are others that I see on Facebook, and they had their own talk show of it, and these were TSU students and Prairie View students, and it was great conversation, and they were getting into that, and many of them have gone on to graduate and get involved in public service, public work, nonprofit work. And that's work worth doing. And so all of that is to say to you, I want these conversations to grow. I want them to live. I want them to have other incarnations. I want to see them with younger people, and while we reminisce on some things, we want to see progress in everything. So that's why I'm reminding you that come tomorrow night, we'll be talking on Politics and Friends with Stevens Orozco. And now that is going to be a great thing. Stephen Orozco, and last week he had, and I think he's going to have them this week, Dr. Biko Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Trevino Rodriguez. Yes. Yeah, hey. All right. I like saying that. All right. And this is what it's going to sound like. So you can come prepared. You got some questions, you might want to save them, because tomorrow we're going to be here as well on Wednesday during the day. But this program I'm talking about is on from 7 to 9 tomorrow night, and we'll have some replay for you on Thursday. But on Friday, I got to tell you, got the Ratcliffes coming. The Ratcliffes will be here. The Ratcliffes will be here. And we got a big week planned for you. The following week, we got, as I said to you, we got Joma McEwen. I got McGowan's name stuck in my mind because I was thinking about Jewel McGowan and Ernest McGowan and their children. But Joe McEwen is going to join me. We're going to talk about music on Fridays. That's going to be, we're going to talk, that's on next week. But on Friday, we're going to talk with the Ratcliffes. You remember them? We started with them at the beginning of the week, but then we had to abort it because, well, we just didn't have the technical power that we needed. We got that now. So I'm going to close with part of the script from Talking Politics with Friends, and want you to get a feel for their kinds of conversation. All right? And remind you that they will have phones. But those phones will open. They come on at 7 o'clock. Then they go through their conversation, what they want to talk about, their guests, what have you. And then at the 8 o'clock hour, they open their phones.
We were the first people to go to county commissioners' court. Now, the county commissioners can't go of session without hearing hours of testimony.
Now, here's what I want you to know. You're listening to an excerpt from last week's show so that you can get a feel for the show and the protocols and the kinds of things that you're hearing. You'll be hearing there.
We were the first people to go to city council and annoy the hell
That's so true.
out of those members and the mayor. And now, every single Tuesday, and now they have a public session, is filled to the brim of people advocating for safer water, to not build freeways, to protect immigrants, for the apartment ordinance. I mean, let's not forget Letitia Plummer. She is the figurehead of the apartment ordinance, the apartment inspection ordinance, which while she was there wasn't successful. But as soon as she left, people picked up that baton. They knew that it was going to amplify their political power, and they got that passed, and that was all thanks to her. And I think it was like in response to big questions, we just feel like what's most tangible and in my hands is changing things right here at home.
Right. I love it. I love this. It actually brings me a lot of hope, in a very real way. And this is something that all three of us have discussed for years, and you named it earlier, Maria, that like at the end of the day, we stayed local. And I think that becomes, for many of us, the political strategy. I think for me, I've moved away and I'm back now. And I think having been up in the Northeast, you're so consumed with national politics. Right? You're so consumed with, well, Trump did this, and Benjamin Netanyahu did that, and you're looking, but I think in a very real way, some of the most tangible and powerful political possibilities happen at the local level. And so I really appreciate you saying, no, not only do we have the ability to do it, we're doing it every single day.
Yeah, and I think there's other cities that are a good example. Like, I had no idea, because I don't live in New York, that Mamdani had been an assemblyman forever.
Yes.
And that he got into office as an assemblyman because he had been organizing the taxi workers.
Yeah.
Like, it's a strategy that works. Where people locally are organizing, they're building enough power to actually create their own little ecosystem that, frankly, exists nearly outside of the state and the federal government. That's why Greg Abbott wants to dilute our local elections all the time.
And listen, you brought up Letitia Plummer, and I thought about Mamdani today, because he announced the program that they're now going to start the process of removing the properties from bad ownership and giving it to either nonprofits or some type of like tenant ownership or just other systems, because like if they have enough proof to show that those owners are not going to provide the needs and the care and the repairs and all that is required, then they don't get to keep it no more. So, and I mean, you already saw how in less than a year he balanced the budget in New York. And now he is funding libraries again, and now he's moving towards these like owners who are just not taking care of the buildings. Oh, and also my favorite one is the really expensive buildings, the ones that the owners of penthouses that cost millions of dollars that they sit empty just because it's the way of them to like have the tax break written off, and also they get to say that they own a penthouse in New York, and then they don't really use it. they're talking about raising taxes on them for that, and then be able to distribute that for the city. And so, like, that example of what you can do at the local level really matters to me, just because you're seeing the proof. Now let's start implementing that here in Houston.
Yeah.
Right.
We just sworn in Joe, what's his name?
Panzarella.
Into city council. So he's young, progressive. So we're starting to see, hopefully, a echo effect that if New York is doing it this way, then smaller cities with a budget that's not as complex as New York can also do it. And I think that's what's hopeful.
And quite frankly, with a state, legislation that's structured different too. I mean, New York City, like, more or less directly works in conversation with the state itself, and I think Houston has a little more autonomy relative to that. Although Greg Abbott's trying to put his tenterhooks in here, but I think I'm totally with you on this. Like, I think there are possibilities here, and the question is, how do we implement a progressive agenda that works here, right? Right. The DSA, in very real ways, it works in New York City the way that it works. Is there a way to do our version of that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, whoa. What do you think, Maria?
I have thoughts. I love the DSA. I have worked with them in the past. We've all worked with them in the past. We've organized along their side. Most recently, I've also seen just how much political power they have. They've been organizing a lot at the city council level to protect immigrants and at the county commissioner's court, and it's been wonderful to see. I feel like sometimes organizations like the DSA become so bureaucratic that they get in the way of themselves. And I've seen it on multiple occasions this last election cycle where they were unable to choose a candidate and to stand up and fight for them because the candidates were afraid to say that they were democratic socialists. And I feel like if every other criteria when it comes to policy is clearly a democratic social platform, can you understand that maybe some candidates just can't use that word in order to win because of the district that they run in? I do feel like sometimes we're purists in the ways that don't benefit us. It's almost, I don't know.
No, I'm tracking with you on this. I think so. I was thinking about this as I was preparing for today, and I think there are two kinds of. This is the nerd in me. If you all let me have this for a second.
Please, go ahead.
There are two kinds of politics, right? There is formal electoral politics, and then there is the polis, like this sort of fancy Greek term that is actually questions of how do people work with each other, how do large populations how do we figure out how to work within this, large societies and stuff. And I think formal electoral politics, I think you're spot on, Maria. I think you have to be pragmatic in formal electoral politics because there's game theory behind that, right? Like it's not just oh, I have the purest principles, I want to keep my name. There's a very real way where you have to look at election, you have to look at demographics, you've got to look at data, you've got to figure out what was the incumbent advantage. You have to do all these things and figure out what kinds of
it's a science,
right? And so there's a very real way that pragmatic piece factors heavily into electoral politics, and even a leftist like me, and actually all three of us in this room, there's a very real way that, sure, I want to be a purist at this polis level, but at the level of electoral politics, you can't do it. That's not what formal electoral politics. It doesn't function that way.
And it's unfortunate because when I was studying political science, I was expecting that.
Right, 100%.
If you're the best candidate and your platform is the best, and you talk to the most people, you should win. That is not the reality,
not how it goes. It's a wild thing. But this also doesn't mean, and this is what I love about what you're talking about in terms of policies, this doesn't mean that we should do what Democrats often do, which is just race to the middle either. Right? It means that you have to find a way to package this stuff for people to understand. I think this was what Mamdani did really, really, really well, right? He's like, listen, call me what you want to call me, but we can't afford to live here, right? And so I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. And so I'm just sharing that to say, I think us leftists on the ground, we can do a certain kind of political organizing, a certain kind of political education. I think this show is going to be one of those things. But I think you're absolutely right at the electoral level. We have to keep in mind that we've got to win those seats. And if that means, go ahead.
And it's just like being realistic, right?
That's
one of my dad, and he would probably agree with every single bullet point in a democratic socialist platform. You tell him I'm a democratic socialist, and he's going to be like, I don't know what that means. you've lost me already.
Exactly, right?
So, do we have to put a word on it when that is who we are in our essence?
Listen, I think that's absolutely correct. I think you're spot on right there. I think we have to get away from a certain kind of purity politics when it comes to, and this is weird for me to say, but I'm older now, but I think in a very real way.
All right, listen, we want to give you an idea, a taste of what that's going to be like Wednesday night. Tomorrow, yes indeed, join Stephen Orozco and Dr. Biko Mandela Gray and Maria Yvonne Triviano Rodriguez. Be sure you join them. And it's going to be Talking Politics with Friends. That's the name of the show. And you can get an idea of what they're talking about with the, what is it, gaming it out or game theory and all of these things. And get your political lingo and knowledge updated. Be sure you do that. Okay, getting ready to close out here. Hello, Ed. You're on, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Long story short, man, I'm just looking at some things here, and maybe we can talk about it more. But one of the things that gets me, man, is this. I am truly questioning, and I have for a very long time, whether this society we live in is pronated to even predispose the mind to want justice. Or is it predisposed to try to redefine it?
Mm-hmm.
In other words, what I'm saying is this. Across the world, I'm seeing something that's happening with all the multitude of variant sovereignties, opinions, and designs that people have established to presume that what people create is entirely viable. And I say in this case, viable for the maker. There's something to be thought about, man.
Sure.
Has this world ever really repented of the fall? That's a heck of a thing to think about.
Yeah, I think not.
Has this world ever repented of the fall? Now, Messiah said before he left, restore me to the honor that I had with thee before the world was made. There's a lot of scriptural relations going to come to restore that honor, to establish that honor. And that is none of these pluralist ideals and opinions that people have established in their various governments to divide the world under, let's just say, divisive sovereignties that everybody wants their territorial power. But they forget who the earth belongs to. And that's a heck of a question to think about it. Is the world ready to repent of the fall? Is the world ready to repent of the fall?
Okay. All right. Well, look, Ed, that is a probing question, and we're going to explore it. We're going to make room for Ralph right now, though. As you can see, the star that got it here at the end. But love to you and your family. Okay, buddy. All right. We are The Source. We thank you for being here with us. Just another great episode, and of course, we always honored to be in your company. And tomorrow, another great show. Don't forget the original DS, my guy, ODM, Oh My Don, OMD, that's what it is. Oh My Don, yes indeed. He will be here at 3 o'clock with great music. Joan Edwards, good morning to you. Paul Wright, good afternoon to you, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. Stay tuned right here to The Source. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Ralph Cooper has covered the legends of HBCUs since 1969. Coaches Eddie Robinson, Jake Gaither, Marino Cassim, John Merritt, Billy Nix, Alex Gurley, Clifford Paul, Dr. Rod Page. No broadcaster has covered HBCUs longer than Ralph Cooper, Houston's legendary sportscaster on 1230 The Source.